for an innocent child, man. I love it. Love it.
But that's the only way to be a rebel nowadays, is to have a family.
Right. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Right.
And then, not jab them. But I guess that would be my other point, is if there is no going to be 100% pure righteous leader ever in this country. I don't, with the exception of if Jesus Christ were to come down and say, hey, I'm taking the reins now in person, there is no candidate that would ever live up to that standard.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I'll let you respond to that. I'm gonna get the baby away from the phone.
That's right. All the more reason not to vote. It's like if nobody out there is perfect. See, that's the other issue is the fiction of government. There is no such thing as government. If government truly is a person or group of people who reserve the right to rule other, did I lose you guys? Uh-oh, they dropped off. Was that me or them? I think I just lost them. All right, John, call back. Derek, I'm adding you to the stage.
Oh, you're frozen.
I will.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem. Go ahead. I don't know where I cut out.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Did you hear what I said about the concept of government? Government truly is, if you break down the word government, governo mentis, it means to control.
Control the mind.
Yeah, to control the mind.
You know what poly means?
Many.
And then you know what ticks are?
Blood-sucking parasite. Yeah. I think that's a play. I think that's a play on words, but I think it fits. Politics is parasitic because basically every politician is a welfare recipient, which is inherently immoral because theft is wrong. It's all by theft, and really the barrel of a gun makes it extortion. But I mean, the concept of government, we got to come to the grips of government is a fiction. It doesn't exist. And if government does exist, that means there's a guy out there or a group of men who has a higher claim over your life and property than you. And that is absolutely not true. If it is true, where did they get the right to rule you? And why do you have an obligation to obey them? And if you don't obey them, do you rightly deserve to be punished? We have to answer these questions, because really, if the answer is there's no such thing as government, then that makes this whole politics thing an absolute non-issue, and we need to start ruling ourselves. The only true rulership, the only true censorship is self-rulership and self-censorship. Nothing else exists.
I mean, there's definitely a reality to that I see, I long for.
I know that there are people who believe they can rule you, and you've got to cough up 30% of your income every year, or you get thrown into a cage. I know they believe that, but that's not the truth. And if it is, how come you and I don't have that power over other people? First of all, you and I don't want that power over the other people. And if we had it and we used it, we would rightly be called criminals.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, one thing I want the Christians to understand, I know they appeal to the abortion topic. Trump's pro-abortion very openly. He pushed back on Alabama and said that they were too extreme. I don't even know what they were doing, but they were like hard on abortion. And he said, no, that's not cool. He pushed against it. Florida was up doing some kind of 6-week ban. He voted against it. He was on TV talking about, I'm going to tell them it's not enough time. So, like, if you're pro-abortion, like this, or if you're against abortion, rather, this guy's for it. So what is that argument? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I think it's all laughable because the concept of government is that it is a death cult. So what does the death cult care about life? They don't. In the last 100 years alone, the U.S. government alone, excluding wars, has racked up over 250 million bodies. Without wars, if you put wars in there, it's over 500 million. So when people are talking about a death cult being caring about life, they don't. They want to drop bombs and kill babies and tear up families and steal oil, steal resources that don't belong to them. I'm going to move on to Derek, though, because he's been waiting for a long time. Thanks, John.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Bye.
Just for the record, I've been waiting the longest. I was the first one in the room. So we'll see if he takes the call.
Derek, did you want to say something? Do you want to say something, though?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hey, I get real nervous, and I'm not real smart to debate anything. But if I could just 30 seconds of my story so I could share it with the world, that would make my day.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so California says that you have to go to court if your paternity test. If a woman says you're the dad, you have a certain amount of window to take care of this. And if you don't, you're defaulted the dad. I'm denied a DNA test. I'm denied all lawyers. My bank is purged every 45 days. All my checks are garnished. I cannot save no money. My credit score is completely crashed, all because I missed a court date in 2003. I love your show. I've been here for like 10 years, if not longer. Been here a long time.
Wait, how do we correct? Like, how long are you going to be in this hamster wheel of them extorting your money from you?
I don't mean to get all excited, but this controls my whole life. I'm not allowed proper housing. I can't lease a car. I've been in this for over 15 years because I can't pay, and I'll be in this forever. And I promise, I'm not lying. I'm denied all lawyers because the judge said I'm stuck in a loop. And if I get a DNA test and I'm not the father, I still have to pay up to the child is 24 years of age. I paid over $100,000 and I owe $8,000 in interest. And I can't pay that $8,000, and that's why I'm standing here for the last 35 minutes. Thank you for your time.
Well, wait a second. I want to know more, because how did you get into this loop? What government department or agency? What state? I mean, there's a lot of things.
Okay, California. I went to a party and this woman said I was the best candidate for the dad, so she put it on me. I'm not the dad. And I didn't go to court in a timely manner.
Hold on, pause for a second. You went to a party and a woman said that you impregnated her, right?
Yep.
8 months, 9 months later, when she has the baby, she says you're the dad, tells the court, they just take her word for it and then start taking your money.
Yep, and this is where I messed up. I was drinking at the time and I had to leave and go to another state. And when I came back, they said you missed your window of opportunity. You're defaulted the father. You are denied all lawyer. You are denied everything. My bank is purged. My credit score is below 500. I do not exist as a civilian. I don't want to say this, but I am a U.S. Army veteran. I don't want to bring any shame to them because I'm not the smartest. I'm down and out and I can never get any better. And this will be the rest of my life. I'm 41 years old and I've been choking on this for over 15 years.
Is there any way you can leave and go to another state and then just escape this?
So I ran away to Texas, and it's my social security number. So I got a job at the car wash, and boom, they garnished my checks. I'm not allowed no money, no savings. That's why I said I'm denied the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
Because I work so hard, and I'm not the smartest, and people just take advantage over me and crush me. And there's nothing I could do it. So I just figured I'd stand here for 30 minutes. I've been waiting like months since you let people call in. So I'm a big fan.
Well, can you email me so we can like maybe explore some options here? And my second question is, since 2003, have you ever tried to find a group that of people who this also has happened to? Because I'm sure it's not just you, right?
No, there's many people, thousands of people that are completely denied a DNA test. If they get a DNA test and it's not their kid, they still have to pay because they missed a window of opportunity, it's called, and we're stuck in a loop. And I've never met a group or anybody that could ever even give me a hand. That's why I'm here, being who I am,
I'm sure that like there's some research that can be done, because I'm sure that you are not the only person this has happened to. And if there is a group that you can get with, and maybe you guys can all, pool your resources or whatever and get something done that gets you out of this stupid hamster wheel.
The best thing I could think of is like if I was able to do like a GoFundMe, because I really only owe $8,421. But that might as well be $8 million. Because if you don't have it, you don't have it, and you're never going to get it. And I'm paying $200 a month, and I have no rights, no power. I cannot lease a vehicle. My house here has mold, and it's disgusting, and it's a little 5x10 trailer. I'm not allowed anything. And that's why I just wanted to share my message and say, hey, if one person learns from this and this doesn't happen to them, that's all I would ask for.
Have you been in contact with this woman?
No, not since 2003. She showed up at work, at my work, and she says, hey, you got a kid. And I said, oh, whoa, can I take a break real quick from my manager? And he said no. And she drove off, and my check got garnished right after that. And then she moved away. Never was able to make contact, and then when I finally get able to take care of it, I have no power at all.
What you're describing here is literally zero due process. You didn't even have a chance
Yeah, and I'm completely denied a DNA test. So even if I was to go and get, okay, I could pay for lawyers, but I've had lawyers laugh at me. No lawyer will touch my case because I'm stuck in a loop. And everybody laughs and says, oh, I should just made my court date. It's all my fault.
Yeah.
But here I am 15, 20 years later, and I'm still, I'm drowning. I'm drowning.
So this child from 2003 has to be like 18 or 19 now, right?
Yep. But I paid off the main balance. But since I got behind, I have to pay off the interest, and that's what's holding me back.
Holy cow, man.
So once I pay off this here's what the worst is, they suspend my license every month that I don't pay $700 a month.
Man, I don't know. Just can you email me? contact@highimpactflix.com.
Let me write this down.
Just it's under all my videos. contact@highimpactflix.com.
Okay. Hey, you're extremely intelligent, and you're one of the greatest journalists that I've ever heard of or even spoke to. And I absolutely appreciate you taking this call, because in 15 years, nobody has cared.
Well, man, I appreciate it, but I'm definitely not extremely intelligent. But if you can reach out to me, maybe we can put you in touch with some people that can help you, or we can pool resources and help you out. I don't know.
Anything. Hey, you just saying you care and you listen, that goes the distance.
That sounds nightmare. I've heard stories like this, but I've never ever actually talked to somebody that's actually going through it. If you're going through this, my heart's out to you, and just make sure when you email me, just say something in the subject line, like you talked to me on live stream or something like that. Because I get a lot of emails, man.
Not a problem. Hey, I absolutely appreciate your time, and keep doing what you're doing. And hey, when I'm president, you're going to be the people that speak to all the press.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you.
Take care. What's up, Solar Bear? You're on.
Hello. I just want to start by saying that you're the absolute best, and there's nobody better. You have the biggest YouTube channel out there.
Shut up.
Trump.
Shut up, man.
I don't understand how anyone takes him seriously.
I don't know. You kind of offended me because I'm beyond fantastic. Okay.
I don't understand it. I don't know how you would pass a speech class if my child gave his speech verbatim, they would get an F. I just don't understand it.
I know, man.
You guys, I am called in. You see, what's on display is his StreamYard, and you see how I'm down in that little corner? If you've ever called into somebody's StreamYard, you go in the back room. And as soon as he put the link, I was in there, and he was waiting for other people to call in when I was already in there, and then he got a caller, and then he put them on. So, I mean, he saw me. He just chose to ignore. But, again, the thing about Brian is, you guys, like, out of all the shills on YouTube, he's the best shill because he speaks against the federal government and the things he says are right, but he only has like 5 different talking points that he comes back to for all 10,000 videos he's made over the years. And just like the rest of he'll shout out all the other rest of the shill network, but he won't collaborate with me. It's just like he gave props to like 3 other shills who've all taken shots at me over the years. So yeah, again, Brian and I have only spoken one time. You guys might have been here for that time where he called into my show and he just talked in circles and circles and circles. But what I really want is, I wasn't able to get him to talk about my work. He was just talking in circles about nonsense. And I just want to see why he always has to like try and piss on my work when my work really does expose how corrupt the federal government is and what a show it is. And all the things that he's so confused by and uncertain about. You know, my work answers. But I don't want to make it a pissing match if he takes the call. I just want to see how he responds to logical points. Because, again, I mean, all the tube's full of you guys is mostly shills and gatekeepers. Brian's channel was allowed to go to 500,000 when almost all of us got deleted. But let's see. Let's listen to these conversations he'll entertain.
And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a long process. But I've seen more gains from improving, taking ownership of my life and improving it than anything the government has ever done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, self-improvement is where it's at. And that's why if we had, like, I know I was quoted and it sounds like cliche, but when Samuel Adams said, no people will tamely surrender their liberties, nor can any be easily subdued. When knowledge is preserved and virtue is basically held up to a high standard. If you like, Schoolhouse Rock, it's probably federally funded or whatever, but it's true. Knowledge is power. And then when you apply knowledge to your life, you get wisdom. And then when you get wisdom, you tend to fall for things less. You tend to fall for deceptions less. And then when you have a moral high ground, or you walk according to principle, you're not going to be voting for a bunch of charlatans. And if we had a whole society that was reputation based, which we're far from that, you would have a completely different economic, monetary landscape, business landscape, relation landscape, community. Everybody'd be way different if they turned off the frickin' Bubis Americanus tube and started working on themselves, which is kind of like what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yep. If you work on yourself, then none of it matters. It doesn't matter. You don't have to give up your principles and your morals to vote for somebody, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yep.
And you're kind of, letting the ingredients to that message, just saying it doesn't really matter who you vote for, because they're both owned by the same people. But then another book I really enjoyed was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, and it just talks about saying, if you take extreme ownership, saying everything is your fault, and instead of pointing fingers, because if you have two people in the room pointing fingers at each other, then the solution isn't. You never come to a solution, because everything you're doing is spending energy pointing fingers at the other person. But if you take ownership and say, even though the other person messed up, what could I have done better, and preventing that. So, with Derek, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. But if he takes ownership and says, what can I do better, and to improve my life from where it is now, acknowledging the fact that, it may not be his fault. The system is against him, but you gotta push forward. You gotta take that leap.
Yeah, and like Michael's saying in the room, surround yourself with like-minded people, as long as those people aren't yes men, because you need you need a friend who's going to tell you what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear, because one of the most dangerous things that we can all do, and we have the propensity to do it, is seal ourselves in our own echo chamber and just surround ourselves with yes men who are going to tell us what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Those sound like old books. Are those old books?
The Stephen Covey book is Extreme Ownership's. It's a little newer, but I was reading in chat saying, Jocko supports Trump. I don't really care who people are supporting. It's just the message from it, I think, is applicable to everybody, and it doesn't. The person who wrote it doesn't take away from the message.
The three books that I would recommend to people is the Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose, Crowd Psychology by Gustave Le Bon, and Propaganda by Edward Bernays. You're talking about books that make you look on the outside. These are three books that cause you to question everything. I'm sorry, take a look on the inside. These books cause you to question everything on the outside. And there's super objective conclusions that you can arrive at just by asking yourself a couple of just really basic questions.
Yep. Well,
all right, brother.
It.
Hey, thank you. Hey, thanks. Take care. Brick Jonesy, you are on the stage. What's up, man?
What's up, brother, man? How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, all is well. Life is well.
Better than I deserve, actually.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to see that you're doing well. So I wanted to come up just to chat a little bit about the voting issue. I really kind of, you've probably mentioned it before. I want to understand your position. Are you for or against voting, period?
Well, it is giving away your consent to a psychopath who is lying to you and wants to steal your property. So I would definitely be against it.
Okay.
I don't tell people not to vote. I just ask, why would you? What's the logical reason of voting? It doesn't even make logical sense. It doesn't make moral sense or logical sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just wanted to know whether it was for or against, and I assumed that it was against personally, because you do seem to have that stance as you talk about.
Plus, there's an aspect that I don't usually talk about, and maybe I should talk about it more. But when you're giving away your consent to have somebody rob and rule you, you're also saying, oh, by the way, Mr. Politician, who I can't trust and will always lie to me and work for the special interest groups and lobbyists in Washington, D.C., I want you to rob and rule my neighbor too. It's like, who do you think you are to have your political elitist psychopathic puppet rule your neighbor? Now, it's one thing for you to say, I want you to rule me, but to say you want somebody to rule somebody else, no, that's really bad.
Right. Yeah, no, I can kind of see where that's the thing. It's like consent for myself and then also consent for someone else. Like that's kind of drawing a very thin line, a thin blue line perhaps. But so this is my concern about it, because so when people say, well, I won't vote at all, is there particularly someone that you might personally vote for, saying, hey, this person does seem to have principles, values, that if they wrote some laws, that they might, have something valuable to contribute to society, something of principle, as opposed to just the two candidates?
You mean if I could put, like, let me see if I can put it into different words. If I could formulate and fashion the perfect individual who I would vote for, would I vote for them?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No, because government is a lie. It'd be like me participating in fiction. It's like I'm asking somebody to rule me. I don't want an angel to rule me. And I know everybody that I have an option to vote for are all devils. So if I wouldn't want an angel to rule me, then I wouldn't want anybody else to rule me.
I guess this kind of gets into ideology a little bit. I know that this is really, ultimately, you talk a lot about politics. But
well, it's not really about ideology. It's about reality. In reality, does somebody have the right to rule you? If the answer is yes, where did that rule come from, and why don't we all have that power? I mean, like, is there a superhuman being that bestows that power, or are these individuals superhuman beings themselves? Well, we know neither of those are true. So if nobody's got the right to rule me, then voting is really a non sequitur. It's like, why are you doing it? Like, there's no such, it's not legitimate. None of this is legitimate. And to participate in a game that is inherently illegitimate is to bring into question and actually give away any virtue that you thought you had.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. In fact, so as someone who believes in the God of the Bible, so it is understood amongst most genuine Christians, in my opinion, this is my opinion, that even Jesus himself didn't want to be some kind of ruler of man without being appointed. Now, he, according to the Bible, was appointed, but that was only after, according to the Bible, he was risen. So if it is the case that some ruler exists, right? Some ruler, it would be some higher power, not necessarily some grandiose, thought-provoking man providing you with some promises, right? So, and I do agree with that, the idea, the sentiment that men ruling over men is just a fallacy in of itself. But if that is the case, participating in it at all, producing some type of narrative at all, to vote or not to vote, that in of itself is kind of a fallacy, is it not?
Yeah, get a little more detailed.
So if you tell somebody, look, I mean, I can't really fault you for it, and I'm not trying to be a jerk to you or nothing like that. Basically, the way that it just, to me, the way it comes off is that if you're going to ask somebody and be adamant about why they vote, are you not yourself participating in the politics of the day?
How are you participating in when you're calling it out? I mean, if you're saying participation in means exposing the fallacy of it, how is exposing the fallacy of something being a participant in it?
Because you're speaking about it rather than speaking about your own personal principles. See, because people have their ideas, their ideologies towards politics, towards religion, towards all of their life. And so you can present why a thing is wrong. Like, for instance, like you said, murder is wrong. Taking things with...
Thomas, when you say, what have we done? Nothing? Is that a true statement? I mean, I know that we've helped a lot of people make smart medical decisions, possibly life-saving. You know, my neighbors over here who I didn't know, they both have heart problems since getting the pokey doke, like a lot of people, and some of them aren't here anymore. I know we freed a lot of people from being controlled by the matrix of misinformation, wasting their weekends getting angry or excited about rigged sports games, et cetera, et cetera. I know if a lot more people were getting behind what we're doing and sharing the information, we probably would have changed the world by now. So your statement's totally false. I also know that you've been here trolling for like the whole time. So trolling, pretty lame. But hold on, we'll continue to wait and see if Brian puts us on.
Does that, then they're...
And again, the reason that less is happening is because of people like Brian. Brian's been aware of my work for a long time, never helped get out there, but pisses on it every now and then. We'll make fun of the work. Well, things like, oh, yeah, the Jesuits. But, you know, again, it's just like he talks a good game about how bad the federal government is, but then he only takes people so far. And this is the problem. It looks like a limited hangout. And you got to ask yourself, why does he bring on all these goofy guests who got nothing to say, but he keeps me waiting in the back room?
Really talking about people's ideologies. I just want to bring it to your attention because I do know that you're doing the man on the street thing, and that's wonderful. I love it, man. And I actually do agree with you about the voting principles, that if your ideologies don't revolve around the principles of the legal stuff, then why the heck are you voting at all or getting involved at all? However, this is one thing I will say about the voters. When they vote, they don't have to vote for one of the two candidates. They could vote for Mickey Mouse. They could vote for Brian. They could vote for Brick. They could vote for anybody. Personally, I have one individual in mind who I would vote for. I've publicly stated who I would vote for. This is the only person I've ever stated that I would vote for. But I like the ideas that he has. I like the changes that he would make, or at least I believe he would make. Do I believe that every piece of the system would change? Do I believe that people would be...
No, again, a defeated comment, Thomas. You could say we're already altering the agenda. We have changed the way they rig sports games. We have took down an online betting site, 5 Dimes, pretty much yours truly's work and the message I put out. They have shifted the algorithm for how they rig the games. This shows that we can change the system. I mean, these aren't great accomplishments, and they're not enough to make the world a better place, but it just goes to show if more people were pushing and doing these kind of things, real change could happen. You know, had everybody called and left a voicemail on every congressman's office like I did the other week about that clown who was talking nothing but misinformation, that kind of stuff would put a lot of pressure on the authorities. So, Thomas, look at yourself and ask what you've done, because all I'm aware of is you trolling in the comments for a long time. That's all I've seen you doing.
I'm in there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but still, we kind of got off in the weeds because you're basically saying because I'm exposing the illogical action of voting that I'm participating in it. How is that true? It'd be like, let's say there's 2 10-year-olds on a schoolyard, and one of them goes, "What's Santa Claus going to bring you for Christmas?" And the other one goes, "You haven't heard, there's no such thing as Santa Claus. It's your parents. They're eating the cookies. They're drinking the milk. They're putting the presents under the tree." The kid who warned the other kid that there's no such thing as Santa Claus and get your head out of your fictional derriere is not participating in the delusion. He's telling the other person he needs to get out of the delusion. So I'm not following you with the being a participant in the voting process by telling people that voting is illogical.
Well, I mean, you know, you can call it a delusion. You can. And I know that's what your channel is based on here. But it's not entirely a delusion because there is a process for voting. And people don't understand the process. See, that's actually one of the problems is people don't understand what the Electoral College is. People think that their vote is what's going to get the president in or get the, you know, that's not accurate. The federal elections like that's an Electoral College thing, right? And
right. So even on that plane right here, you're making my point for me. It's like your vote literally counts for nothing except, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think voting has a great significance, but not significance in that you're going to change the outcome of some kind of general presidential election. It has great significance, and people unleash massive amounts of money in election campaigns. Mainstream media can't stop talking about going out to vote. The DNC, the RNC, the reason they want you to vote is because it is truly a humiliation, demoralization ritual. They have to bring you to the point where we're going to drop these bombs, we're going to steal your money, and we're going to do it with your consent. It's very important that your consent is part of that. Now, OG Ghost says you will be ruled over by someone whether you vote or not. That's not the issue. And he also says, doesn't matter if you consent or not, the laws and the government will persist. And when you cry about how many are participating, that's proof of how irrelevant your not voting really is. OG Ghost doesn't understand it. Voting is very important. It's very important that you submit to their ritual so that you can partake in the ritual and demean yourself by asking evil people to do evil things in your name. It's very important.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I don't disagree with it. What you're saying there, OG Ghost, you're kind of off in the weeds there a little bit. Yes, every ship has a captain. However, that's not really the issue here because the captains are appointed really of those ships.
And with a captain and a vessel, you can choose not to board the vessel. If you're born in America, you don't get to choose if people believe in the delusion of government or not. They're going to rule you whether you want them to or not. That doesn't mean that you should consent to it or it's a good idea to consent. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that if you, what it does mean is if you withdraw your consent, they're going to do their evil, but they're not doing it with your approval, which is what voting is.
Yes. And so the vote that you put in doesn't matter so much as the person who's in the Electoral College. So it's not the person, or it's not the vote, it's the person that votes.
Yeah, but even that doesn't matter because the bankers control the Electoral College. They control the RNC, DNC, which are private corporations. And whatever they put up on the ballot is approved by the Federal Reserve. And if anybody questions that, just look at an interview that they did with Alan Greenspan, when he was the Federal Reserve Chairman. The question was, what should the relationship between a President of the United States and a Federal Reserve Chairman be? And paraphrasing, doesn't matter what Congress does, doesn't matter what the Supreme Court does, doesn't matter what the President does. We set the monetary policy. We have the dual mandate of controlling prices and employment and the issuance and value of your currency, and there ain't nothing you can say about it.
Yep, that's the brass tacks of it. We're now we're really on the point of it's the monetary system. There's been a huge problem within the monetary system. Personally, I have some ideas that I would love implemented, but those probably won't ever come to fruition. I do have an idea of how it should be versus how it is. But you know what, Brian, this has been a wonderful conversation. We actually hit on some really good points, I do believe, man. The ideas of voting, whether they're valid or not. Personally, I know that I say if you're not going to be for one of the two candidates, throw Mickey Mouse in there because that's better than no vote. Personally, I think. But you know what? Hey, if you say don't vote, or at least if you say you're not going to vote, then hey, look, man, that's your right to not vote, your right to say yes or no.
I mean, I could be wrong and have slipped out and said don't vote, but I usually don't tell people what to do. I usually tell people, here's why I don't.
No,
so okay. Well, Brick, I appreciate it. I'm going to bring Rick up here. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Love you, bro.
All right, take care. Rick, before I get you, before you speak, let me read what James Brown said, because it kind of hits the nail on the head. Brian is trying to get people to accept responsibility, personal responsibility for their own actions, and to realize that their actions affect who they are as a person. And that's true. It's kind of an outgrowth of who you actually are. If you want to be a moron or a psychopath, then play the game. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, very interesting points you made. I just don't know why you don't start to delve into the Trump being such a Satanist.
Okay. I don't know what to say about that. It's not my it's not in my wheelhouse. I've never studied that, him being a Satanist.
Okay, Google.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. I don't see how it matters because first of all, I don't believe in some personage called Satan, and I don't see how that matters. He's doing evil things that nobody wants done to them, but seems like everybody's clamoring for.
Okay, let's see what this sign means. What does that sign mean?
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what that sign means. No.
I guess you're really not into MAGA being the fifth highest degree in the Church of Satan?
No, they've already, MAGA has already shown itself to be evil. So like, how do you get more evil than evil?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I have no idea why you don't even want to talk to Zachary K. Hubbard. I mean, that's unbelievable. What's going on?
Okay.
I mean, I think you should probably look into the truth a little bit more than you are.
The truth according to who? I mean, like, it's all, do you believe there's a Satan, or do you know there's a Satan?
Well, there is good and evil, so and the Church of Satan kind of shows you that there is something about it.
Well, there's also a Church of the Spaghetti Monster too, which is a spoof on the Bible. That doesn't mean the spaghetti monster exists. But what I'm asking you is, do you believe there's a Satan, or do you know that there's a Satan? Because knowing is different than belief, and belief is different from knowing.
Pretty good point, but there's good and bad in everybody, right?
But you can see that, and there's a standard by which you can measure it.
Okay, what's your standard of evil?
Do to others what you would want done to you.
Well, that's the golden rule. I think everybody should abide by that.
Yeah, but you don't need a holy book, and you don't need a constitutional law to realize that, oh, I don't want that person breaking my nose or busting my kneecaps. I don't want that person stealing my TV or my furniture or denting my car. That's just like, it's like self-evident. You don't have to explain to a second grader that it's wrong to steal toys. He automatically knows it because he wouldn't want that done to him.
Good point, but well, I mean, you are aware of gematria, right?
It's just not my wheelhouse, man. Other people do gematria. I personally don't.
Yeah, I've seen people do longitude, latitude, different points in the world that really kind of line up, but you've got receipts there, such as gematria.
Well, I see a lot of interpretation, and I see a lot of, rule switching on all that kind of stuff. And I don't see anybody, like, if gematria was real, okay? And I'm not saying it's not. If it was real and you could actually read it and all that kind of stuff, then tell me what's going to happen in 5 years. Tell me what's going to use the Fibonacci sequence to tell me, it's like, to me, all that stuff is like palm reading. It's like, sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. And then astrologers, it's like, it's just not my thing. If that's something you want to do, that's fine. But to me, that lies in the realm of belief, outside of the realm of knowing.
Lie is in the middle of belief, but when you see numbers, they usually don't lie.
Well, it depends on how people, it's not about the numbers lying. It's about how people apply interpret the application of numbers. Let's put it that way.
Okay, well, they teach you in kindergarten. A is 1, B is 2, all the way up to Z is 26.
But what if I don't speak English? What if I'm not from an English-speaking nation? What if I'm from Zimbabwe? What if I have an Indian language? What if does gematria work for me if there's no English, or if there's no Hebrew, or there's no Greek?
Yeah, I think so. There's probably about 400 or 500 different ciphers in different languages. Is
there Zimbabwe cipher?
I never looked into that, but
because if I'm from Zimbabwe, then what does an English cipher do for me? That's where gematria, it's like, you can ask these basic questions about gematria. It seems like all these people go along with this stuff, and it's like, wait a second, I'm living my life in a vacuum because not everybody speaks English or Hebrew or French or Italian. It's like,
but this world is full of numbers. Everything is numbered.
Okay, so what's I know, but there's numbers, and there's languages, and there's letters, and then there's ciphers, and then there's the men who get involved in applying these things. It's like when somebody tells me that I don't even know the astrological terminology, but they say my moon is in Venus or whatever. It's like, okay. And this means you have this kind of temperament. And it's like, sometimes they're right. It seems kind of weird, but there's nothing objective about it. So if I live in Zimbabwe, I don't see how gematria applies to me in my life, because I wouldn't understand your language.
But that's okay, because they're teaching English everywhere, even in Zimbabwe.
But what if I'm in a tribe that doesn't speak English? How does gematria affect me?
I wouldn't know where to go with that one if you're not plugged in, I guess.
How many ciphers did you say there were?
Oh,
hundreds? Uh-oh, you cut out. Did I cut out or did you? Wait, I'm moving. You're not moving. You cut out. I really want to know the answer to this question. Rick, are you there? I think Rick lost connection, which sucks because I wanted to ask this question. He cut
there
out.
I am.
Oh, there you are. Rick, how
back.
many ciphers are there? Do we know?
Oh, hundreds and hundreds. Didn't you have Derek on here just before?
Did we go into how many ciphers there are?
I don't know. I'm sure Derek probably's got that answer.
I didn't know he was into gematria. How many gematria ciphers? There are many gematria ciphers with some authors listing as many as 231. Well, I got a little problem with that because according to the latest research, there are an estimated 7,000 languages in the world, all using different sentence structures, but there's only 231 ciphers. So there's a lot of people that are going to be left out of the gematria equation, I would think.
Well, it's a good thing we're English, I guess.
If it indeed applies to us, I don't know. It just sounds religious to me. It does.
Well,
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming forward.
Good. Hey, I think you ought to put Zachary K. Hubbard on there. I'm sure he's in the back room.
Have you seen what that guy says?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, you love the ad hominems? Is that the part that you love? Do you love the ad hominems? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Do you love the unfounded? Do you love the accusation without substantiation, which is the height of ignorance? Is that the part you love about him? Do you love the part about? Do you love the part about where this person says I talk about him all the time and I don't even give him a thought? It's just crazy. Just the lies are immense. All right, man. Appreciate it, Rick. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. Back to Shamil.
What's up, Brian? What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yes. What's going on in your neck of the woods, Mr. New York City?
Oh, bro, we had so many people. There were tons of people. Remember when I told you there were 5,000 people? I estimated how many people were there. There was like tons of people, man. Crazy.
There had to be. Doesn't Madison Square Garden seat like 20,000 people or something?
Yeah, forget about inside. I'm talking about outside. The people were just standing outside. Billions of gazillions of people just standing and I don't know, doing nothing, basically just waiting for something. I have no idea.
Yeah, some estimates say there were 50,000. Madison Square Garden holds 19,500.
Easy. That's, I mean, you asked me about the numbers on the Twitter. I know you reached out to me and I said 5,000. Then I'm like, no, this is not 5,000. This is like more like 100,000. There are a lot of people. That's all I have to say, man.
I bet the traffic around Madison Square Garden was crazy. See, I hate being in that kind of situation because I don't like being in a crowd of people because you can never underestimate the power of stupidity in large crowds. And you are way outnumbered and outpowered with stupid people, you know?
I agree 100%, Brian, 100%. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. It's just the amounts of people were insane. I was really shocked, but how many people actually came and stood there outside. Forget about inside. I'm talking about outside, that they never even went inside. They were just standing outside. And I don't know, police blocked off many streets for the traffic, and it was crazy. It basically reminded me of the vaccine times, you know, the whole 9 yards, people lined up.
Just go ahead and say that on my live stream.
I'm sorry.
Damn you, Bacchus Jamil. Damn you.
Oh my God. Anyways, tomorrow in my building, they're gonna have early elections. I'm gonna try to record. My apologies, Brian.
That's all right.
I'm a douchebag. I gotta tell you.
No, you're not, man.
Tomorrow, my building will have early election. You know, in the hallway of my apartment building, they set up this election process where residents in the building, they go, you know, cast their vote basically. And I'm just gonna make a little video. I'm gonna show you what's going on in my lobby tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting, actually. So
where are you gonna put it? Instagram, Twitter?
No, I'm gonna put it on Twitter. I'll tag you so you get to see it. What's taking place in my own building. Forget about the whole that outside thing.
All right, brother.
All right, Brian. Sorry about that. My apologies.
No. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
Love you, brother.
Day.
Take care. All right, one last. Vic, let me have it, man. Let me have it.
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Appreciate the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, it seems like, because I've put a couple of your videos, it seems like this is a platform where you appreciate perspective regardless if you agree with it or not. Am I right?
No, I got to agree with it. If I don't agree with you 100%, I hate your guts. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, go ahead, man. What you got?
No, so, I mean, what I'm saying is, if the goal is to expose overall, right, then why not allow Zach on and just have a conversation?
I don't talk to dishonest people, man. I really don't. When somebody shows me who they are, I believe them, and I'm not interested, man. He has pursued me for years. I ask other people, and it's like, no, I haven't heard from him in a long time. And it's like, why do I get the luck of being incessantly pursued by somebody?
Well, I mean, if you disagree with it, I mean, I can tell you someone who could keep a conversation going and kind of dispute anything that you might.
No. It's not that I disagree with him. I think I know by experience he's a bad faith actor. And every time I see him in the chat room, he starts out really nice, but when I don't answer him, it's almost like being an authoritarian control freak. If I don't respond to him, then the fangs start coming out in the claws, and I know they're always there. I've dealt with. I'm not a spring chicken, and I'm not just gonna. If somebody's bad faith, and I know, not believe, but know they're bad faith and they're a corrupt individual, I don't care how right on they are about whatever they're going to talk to me about. I just don't want anything to do with them. I want to live my life. He can live his life. He doesn't need me. He does fine on his own.
I got you. Okay, but I mean, this is your platform, so you have all the control. I just wouldn't see the harm, because I kind of watch both of your videos. So I just don't really see the harm in bringing him up. And if you don't like what he's saying, you can kind of just kick him out, I guess. But the conversation would just be interesting. I mean, maybe I'm in the minority with feeling that way, but I just feel like if the overall goal is to expose, then maybe putting your personal feelings to the back seat for a couple of minutes wouldn't do so much harm.
It's not about my feelings. It's about the fact that I know who he is. I mean, let me just tell you, I mean, there's a history here. Just a couple of years ago, I called in. I think how it went was I called into him, and within 60 seconds, it was like he was slamming me about t-shirt sales. Well, look, if you don't want a t-shirt, it's like you're just I don't remember if he called me a grifter, but there were a whole lot of ad hominems and names. It's like, well, this isn't going to be a very good conversation, is it? So when I'm dealing with a bad faith actor, I know what's in their heart because they've revealed it to me. I know the fangs are ready to come out in the claws. It's just silly for me to get involved in that, in my opinion. There's a scripture verse that actually goes along with that. It says, answer a fool according to his folly, and you will be like him. It's not a good idea to associate with people you know are of a corrupt character.
Well, that's your opinion, right? But as I said,
do you not believe the Bible? That's just what the Bible says.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I live my life by the Bible.
No. Oh, okay. You believe the Bible's a false book then? Is there any wisdom to be found in distancing yourself from somebody who could have a corrupt character?
Yeah, generally, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm at with that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'll let you know.
How about you? What's on your mind other than this individual?
Well, no, he's not on my mind. As I said, just from a person watching, I would have enjoyed the back and forth or the conversation, as a viewer. And but it's solely up to you. So that's your decision.
Yeah. Cool.
All right,
brother. Thanks, man. Take care. All right. It is 8:23 Central Standard Time. I got to go get a workout in. I'm like 23 minutes past due on that. Chris, I tell you what, Chris, I don't want to leave you hanging, man. Can you take 30, 60 seconds? Tell me what you want to tell me.
Yes, I can. No problem at all. And I just found out about you yourself. I'm sure you're a very nice guy, and what you do is awesome. I'm not really too sure, but all I want to say is I do want to give a shout out to Zach. I've been following Zach for a long time, and I live out here in Vegas. I follow numbers and patterns recognition. So cool. I follow I don't really follow Gematria stuff. but I follow my numbers with the odds makers about sports. So real quick for you, I line my stuff up knowing that when he was talking about the information and the sports stuff that he was going through, it lined up a lot with my stuff, knowing that he is being honest and truthful with most of the information. I would say all the information.
Just to let you know, just to let you know, to show his character, and I should screen record this, he actually is literally showing his character because he's viewing you being on here, giving a shout out to him as a troll, which is fine with me. Free market. I love it. And maybe there are people in his audience who think that this is a gotcha moment. I don't know if this is how you intend it, but this is exactly what I was telling the last guy about how corrupt this guy's score is.
Really? No problem. And I just came across because I saw that the live came on. And
so be honest with me. Be honest with me. Did you come in here just to troll or what?
No, I didn't even think it was being trolling, actually, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, then I'll take you at your word. Hopefully you're being honest. Okay, go ahead.
No, 100%. Actually, I mean very well, and I would never want to discredit anything. And all I was just going to say is following for my numbers and the stuff that he put out, it was very, it showed me because I never knew him at the time that he was giving out accurate information. Someone who was looking more.
That's extremely debatable, right? If I remember a couple years ago, there was a guy that's actually devoted his channel to exposing all the lies that this guy tells. So I don't know. Have you ever seen that guy? I don't even know what his name is or anything.
Sorry, and like I said, I'm not on here to troll or anything like that. So I just wanted to come out here and say that I find a lot of his stuff that he says lines up with my stuff, which makes it sense to me that, hey, maybe he does have credible information and is on the right side. But I apologize. I'm actually very thankful that you let me on here for 30 to 60 seconds, and I appreciate the time. And you have an excellent day today. And by any means, truly thank you for the time.
Is your name really Chris?
Yes, my name is Chris. My YouTube channel is Chris from Vegas. You can check me out.
Okay.
I'm not a high fly flashy guy. I'm a guy that just strictly follows numbers, but it's not based off gematria.
Cool.
I follow numbers based on odds makers.
Cool. I hope it works for you, man. Take care, Chris.
Thank you very much, and you have an excellent day, brother.
You too. Okay, guys, that's about it. It's amazing how people can be infatuated with somebody like that. It's just kind of a weird feeling. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Remember, vote if you want to. The question is just ask yourself why you're voting. So I can't believe that many people are hanging on this long. I am a windbag. So I appreciate you guys. I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit like before you leave and make sure you share this out. I will see you in the next live stream. Take care.
All right. I was going to give Brian another chance because I saw this popped up in my feed the other day, and I was like, wow, Brian is out pounding pavement. I love it. I love that Brian's out pounding pavement. And anyhow, it just, that guy's so annoying, you guys. I mean, he's just so full of shit, and then he tries to make it about me. He said he will never talk to anybody who does ad hominem attacks. He has marketed his debates with Anomaly and Owen Benjamin and others with the ad hominem attacks they made against him. And realize Anomaly is one of these no-talent grifters that sells God bless hats and gets to hang out with celebrities and treats the mainstream media like it's real in the same way Brian does. The reason I like Brian better than these other shills like Anomaly and Owen Benjamin is because what Brian says about the federal government is mostly true. He does have some dumb arguments about how there's no difference between gun violence and coffee mug violence, and all that's just wasted rhetorical nonsense. But Brian, I do believe that Brian is very much against the federal government, and way more people should. And, you can tell he's not used to being out pounding pavement, but he's doing it, and I'm sure he'll get better in time. The first time anybody ever saw Brian pound pavement was when he flew out of Oklahoma City, because we were there to expose what really happened on April 19th. And you guys might recall, when I showed up in Oklahoma City for April 19th, I had police and security and feds and everything there to deter me and threaten me. Got my car vandalized. It was a costly trip. Monetary support went way down afterwards, and then it went down even further when we went out to New York. But you might remember that as soon as I was there getting kicked off the Oklahoma City Museum campus, Brian had a video up on his channel like within 30 minutes of it happening. Like, I don't even think it took 30 minutes. I mean, I couldn't believe how fast he had a video up. I was like, God, I was like still on the sidewalk arguing with him. And Brian already had a channel up, or a video up on his channel about it. And then, the Fed was the one who called and said, hey, you see, Brian's got the video up already on what happened? And I was just like so dumbfounded. But now looking in hindsight, Chris Emery came out and said that, yeah, right, the Matrix was a Fed, which is still hard for me to believe. But I'm sure it was him who alerted the authorities in hindsight. But yeah, Brian made a video. I mean, and Brian's like, oh, I'm so obsessed with it. Dude, when Brian called in about that phone call that he just made the point about, yes, he did call into my stream. And I was trying to get him off the topic of him being a grifter. He was just so stuck on that. Anyone who heard that phone call, he's like, how can you criticize me for selling things when you have a book for sale? And then I was saying to him, I said, yeah, I have a book for sale. I'm selling my own product that I also give away for free to anybody who asks. I said, do you give away your stuff for free? And then he didn't want to answer that question. He's like, I just want you to answer how you having a book that you sell is different than me selling basement snacks or flashlights or t-shirts. I was like, Brian, can we just move on? I want to talk about that anyway. What I'd rather talk about is why you don't want to share additional information, such as the things we talk about. He wouldn't go to that. So Brian just kept talking in circles. It was like 30 minutes of wasting everybody's time, and him and I have never spoken again since. But again, I've asked Brian 1,000 times to bury the hatchet and come out and participate in the events that we do. When we went to Oklahoma, where he lives, he's only an hour from Oklahoma City. I know that because he said so. I thought it'd be a great opportunity for him to come and speak about the federal government. We were there to expose federal tyranny. What's wrong with the federal government? Why not have a local Brian who had a 500,000 people on his High Impact Flicks channel? And see, that's the thing too, you guys. That's the thing about these channels that grew to 500,000. I'm not really convinced that any of these channels ever had a bigger following than I did. The YouTube numbers aren't real. I mean, look, I just filled up more people in Brian's own chat than he could fill up from his own live stream. We just saw that. 3 out of the last 4 callers were from our stream. So he doesn't have 500,000 subs anymore. But anyhow, I would like, Brian, if you end up watching this video, again, this is why you need to expand your knowledge. See, this might sound arrogant, Brian, but what you're out here trying to do, talk to these people that support a certain political candidate, they're believers. They're believers. You got to figure out how to get them out of their religion. Or politics is a religion. And I think Brian understands that, actually. But again, people who are into their political party, they don't care about facts. They're just going to vote for their political party almost no matter what. So you have to evolve your knowledge to a level like what we have over here to even have a chance. And I'm not saying what we do can pull everybody out of it, but for anyone who saw what we did in 2020 at the Trump mega rally, April 19th, 2020, it was the day Canada lost its gun rights as the guy dressed up as a Mountie drove up and down the 102 shooting people. And of course, we know what all that means over here. April 19th, very special day to the Jesuits. 102, very special recurring number to the Jesuits. But that same day, I was in Washington State at a Trump rally, and I got a big crowd of those people to stop and listen and go, oh my God, maybe Trump isn't the guy. And you guys remember we had a crowd of people just gathering around us. And then I had trolls and instigators and agent provocateurs come and try to break it up. And then remember when I tried to get on the stage that day, they said the stage was open to anyone. They said it was open mic. They blocked the stage to me. They had big armed guards who were armed, stand in the way and say, you're not allowed on that stage. Why am I not allowed on the stage? Again, what we do here is on a different level. And when Brian and Owen Benjamin and Anomaly and all these other people that associate with each other, Brian's on the record saying Richie from Boston's a good guy. Richie from Boston is a recurring scammer that's still scamming people to this date. For him to demean my character and shout out a guy like Richie from Boston, a criminal fraud, just a sorry sack of a human being, it's really not good for Brian's character. And then when Brian starts quoting Bible verses that he only applies in certain regards, it's just like, give me a break, Brian. But I would like to play this clip from Brian's channel. He's here trying to talk to the Trump people about why Trump's no good, which I completely endorse and respect. But right at this moment, a religious man's about to come in the picture. And if Brian was armed with a little more knowledge, like the type of stuff we've been trying to get him on board with, he might have taken this guy off his podium and made him think twice. But realize Brian had nothing to deter that. Just watch how this is going to unfold. And this is why you need as much knowledge as you possibly can. Brian tries to downplay knowledge. And Rick James, my man, I appreciate you going on there. But as much as you're in my streams, I feel like you could have handled a lot of Brian's questions a lot better. I know you're not usually the one speaking, but again, if we have knowledge, we got to be able to use it, especially when we're confronted. I wish Brian would have asked me those questions. But hold on. Let's watch how this unfolded here with Brian. I'm just going to play the final. What is this? It's going to be about 3.5 minutes. Let's just play it out, and then let's talk about it.
Okay. I just pointed out all the evil things that he did.
God spare him?
I didn't even scratch the surface.
Why did God spare him?
What's that?
Why did God spare him?
Spare him from what?
The bullet.
The bullet? How do you know he was hit by a bullet? Did you see his ear 2 weeks later is completely healed? Can you explain that?
Saw the blood. Oh, come on. Man, you forgot your tinfoil hat.
And they caught the bullet on camera. Guys, they caught the bullet on camera.
So it must have been a big facade, right?
So we don't want to talk about the Federal Reserve or the policies that he instituted that we can actually objectively see.
More than we do, and he spared him.
So why did he institute...
And he spared him because Kamala Harris, at her rally, threw people out who cried out, Jesus is Lord.
Today is actually a really exciting day because we got to unfold one of these units.
So one's on one side.
Did that because of, didn't that just recently happen?
Yes.
The Trump thing just happened a month and a half ago, right?
Yep.
So you're saying God looked into the future and said, I see what Kamala Harris is
God knows the future. You don't know.
Which God?
Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, a lot of people serve different gods.
No, there's only one God.
Well, that's what the Muslims say too. I know.
That's what Christians say.
That's
what
the
Catholics say. That's what Jews say.
Well, the Catholic God isn't the Baptist God. You agree with that?
Is.
Oh,
yes,
it is. Why did the Baptist? A Southern Baptist will say Catholic.
Yes, his dad was a preacher.
You do realize.
He knows the Bible more than anybody.
You do realize Southern Baptists say Catholics are going to hell. Catholics say that Southern Baptists are going to hell.
I've never said that in my life.
I used to be a Catholic and a Baptist.
I'm Catholic, but I don't follow the Catholic Church. I follow the Catholic faith. The church is run by men. Men are corrupt.
And that's why politics and religions are very similar, because it really messes people's minds up, where they don't really know what they're talking about. There's no logic trail.
I've been dead once from a heart attack and resuscitated. I know what's on the other side.
Can we talk about the $8.4 trillion in national debt that Trump racked
You mean
up?
Biden?
Trump.
They all have.
Do you realize that Trump racked up $8.4 trillion in national debt plus $6.2 trillion for the stimulus package?
You know what that? Do you know that it wasn't Trump? It was actually the administration. It wasn't him. It was the Congress. Congress is the one that passed all that.
That wasn't Trump's signature.
It might have been his signature, but he had to agree in order to get what he needed to have.
So Trump agreed and signed off on a $6.2 trillion package, which is the middle finger to Americans and saying, I'm going to trash your dollar right now with this. It's a beautiful signature. It's a beautiful signature. I'm going to trash the dollar. I'm trying to find people who are not in cognitive dissonance. Hey, thanks for taking your time to watch this video. If you have...
Okay. So, again, that is Brian's channel if you guys want to give him a sub. Hey, actually, you know what? I gave Brian a sub when I saw he was out pounding payment. And again, I do think Brian's a shill. I do think Brian's a grifter. You know, Brian says he knows. Brian, you don't know anything. Stop with your lies. You're the liar. But despite those things, out of all the shills on this platform, and there are a lot, Brian is the best. He's right on message with how bad the federal government is. He only has about 5 or 10 talking points that he regurgitates in every video. But you know what? Almost all of them are good and fair, and I'd encourage people to learn the things that Brian consistently says over and over. He's very redundant, but the things he says are true. And like I've been saying to Brian for a long time, even though you and I don't like each other, we're probably the two most consistent people on the tube who speak against the federal government. Now, Brian did go away from it for about 2 years. He just started up this new channel, The Disturbing Illusion. You know, he'd gone to just cop watching videos, which was making him good money. And I can tell that he's frustrated. And you know what? I can actually see that I feel like his inside moral compass is telling him he needs to do more than cop watching videos, and he needs to get back to speaking against this evil, tyrannical government. And he's probably thinking about that because of his own life and what the consequences of this government are to not only him, but all of us. And he does have children, at least one son. So, I can only assume what his motivations are. But I can tell that Brian is frustrated that right now he's having trouble getting views talking about real issues, whereas he can make good money just doing the cop watching videos. And I see him trying to put a whole lot of effort into this new channel to get people to talk about things. And every, fifth video he does is ranting about how he just lost a whole bunch of subs because he went against Trump. And he can't believe that his whole cop watching audience are a bunch of Trumpers. Again, it's like what Brian should understand, along with everybody else, shill or not, is that if you really are concerned about the time we're living in and how tyrannical the government is and how awful the choices of leadership are, you are going to have to start working together with people, even if you don't like them, if you have a commonality. And, Brian's little thing that he said there about how, I ignore him, but then he always shows the fangs. That's because I'm dropping nothing but truth bombs. He's got a chat room full of trolls talking shit, and then I'll say something, and then he'll put up on the screen like, oh, see, I know the content. This guy's nothing but It's just like, dude, you're a joke. You're gonna listen. You're gonna ignore all this awesome information, not say one peep about that. But then I respond to all the assholes in your chat and you're going to start talking shit. I mean, come on, man. So, again, I think just like a lot of people know, the real reason a lot of this shill network also won't even have me on to debate, but will sit there and talk shit about my work. Just like when Brian and Owen Benjamin, two guys who've had over 1 million followers on social media between all the platforms they're on, they recently had a debate. And if you saw how their debate started, how did it start? It started by making fun of me and my research. So when Brian's like, oh yeah, he thinks I talk about him, you just had your biggest video spectacle of the year and made fun of my work. So that's also how you stay on my radar. But yeah, again, people have to wake up and go, where in the. Why would Brian not want to collaborate and share the information we're sharing about how rigged the game is? And if anybody's coming here and saying, well, what do you share? And you've never been here before. Again, it's important that people understand the ritualism that goes on every day with our federal government. DC is not nicknamed the Masonic City by accident. It's not an accident that the capital was moved to D.C., where the Jesuits set up camp when they came to this nation. It's also not an accident that Inauguration Day was moved to January 20th. You can begin to understand what all of these things mean historically and in the present when you learn about the things that they're into. Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. There's a part of Kabbalah that speaks about how God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. And that's called gematria or isopsophy. In Hebrew, it's gematria. In Greek, it's isopsophy. This idea of coding numbers into words was clearly incorporated into the English language by the Catholic Church and the Jesuits in the 16th century, the same century the calendar rolled out. And when Brian's Brian's been doing that same argument now for 5 years. There's all these languages in the world, so what's it matter if it's only in English? It's like, dude, it's just such a lame argument. English is the language that's taught worldwide. Sweet Lady, case in point, is from Burma, a country that most people don't even know where it is. Are they learning other languages there? No, they're learning English. They're learning Burmese. They're learning their native dialect, like she speaks Kachin. And they're learning English, just like how the whole world is learning English. Just like how on the Georgia Guidestones it said, unite the world in a new living language. Which, in a way, if you think about it, it's something that goes against the Bible, right? Because in the Bible, God's intention was to separate the language and the people of the world, and by language, with the story of the Tower of Babel. And now people like to listen to these politicians that just babble on. But And even Brian. I mean, Brian will, it's not the first time I've sat backstage in Brian's room while he ignores and brings on all these guests just talking about everything but the issue. I mean, literally, I don't think he had one guest come on and even talk about what the topic of his show was about. But he's just so frustrated that he can't get the Trump people to see how rigged the game is. And, you know, Trump, we could have a conversation for days about all of the ritualism that Trump's participated in. Again, why he announced from the 58-story Trump Tower for the 58th presidential election. Again, I'd like to lay it out to Brian. Does it sound like a coincidence? In Gematria, Freemasonry equals 58, like secret society, like the first degree of Freemasonry is the honored apprentice. Does that remind you of Trump and the Apprentice? Can we talk about how Bill and Hillary conceded in purple and the way Trump came out to Queen, We Are the Champions, in a ritual synced with Queen Elizabeth, and how that year Prince died, Mr. Purple Rain, and the 58th Grammys happened right before Prince's death, and Vanity, his girlfriend, died that day, and where all these things fit together, how you go back to Suddenly Susan from the 90s, there's an episode from May 8th, 5/8, where Donald Trump's the president of the United States, 5/8 again. Oprah Winfrey equals 58, who asked him in 88 if he'd like to be president someday. Again, we were talking about all that stuff in the build up to the 58th election, and that's why in February of 2016, before Super Tuesday had even happened and Trump was the nominee, I said why he'd be the nominee and why he would likely become president. And that year we called Prince's death, sadly. That Prince hadn't even died yet. You know, Brian's sitting there going like, how come I mean, Brian's asking people to make predictions. I mean, how many correct predictions do I have just in the last month, the last 2 months, the last 3 months? How much did we smoke the NFL again in week 8? How bad have we smoked the NBA season again and it's just getting started? How did we just nail the World Series dead on again and so far we're 2-0 in games? I mean, we can go on and on and on about the power of prediction through this knowledge. Where Brian didn't know what was going to happen with the 2020 election, we said over a year in advance why Joe Biden would become number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when Catholic equals 46, and there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, and the only other Catholic president got smoked at age 46. And what Beau Biden's death had to do with Joe Biden becoming president. Again, Beau Biden dead at 46, and dead 201 days before the Pope's birthday, when Inauguration Day is on the 201st day of the nation's age, and Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope, is the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. It goes with Trump's ex-wife falling down the stairs and dying, and then him burying her on the 201st day of the year. These are the kind of things that I would like to see Brian have a conversation about. See, anytime Brian brings up Gematria, like he did it with Russian Vids, and Russian Vids is a brain-dead moron. And Brian was like, see, this all seems kind of stupid and hokey dokey. He had Russian Vids on to discuss Gematria. Where did Russian Vids learn Gematria from? From me. The only time Brian had a conversation about this was with Russian Vids, and he also had Richie from Boston on in that stream. Embarrassing. But Richie from Boston, he did say I saved his life when he learned not to go out to the Oregon standoff, which was synced up with the Oregon Ducks, giving up the huge lead to Texas Christian University. If you guys don't remember that, the Alamo Bowl, the biggest comeback ever, TCU over Oregon, and then as soon as it ended in the biggest comeback ever in the Alamo Bowl, the news broke that there was a standoff in the middle of nowhere in Oregon. We've been here that long, if you guys remember that. That was the beginning of 2016 as well. Retard from Boston was going to drive out there, but then he found my video and was like, whoa, you guys got to check this out. It's a total psyop. This is crazy. No, that was the only time retard from Boston ever did a honest video, when he learned how Gematria saved him from becoming part of a federal operation. And again, it's just, we can go on and on about all the ritualism. Rick James just tried to ask Brian about, why don't you talk about Trump being associated with the satanic? It's not just Trump. It's all of them. Again, Obama, you guys. Obama became the president of the United States while the country was 232 years old. Do you remember back when he was becoming president, people were showing how when you say, yes, we can, when you run it in reverse, it was, what was it again? Yes, we can, when you run it in reverse with the Aleister Crowley technique. It was like, was it thank you, Satan? Thank you, Satan. It sounded like something like that. Thank you, Satan. That was kind of even making the mainstream. People were talking about it like, did you know that? Isn't that weirdo? When you run that in reverse, it has a little Satan tribute. There's something known as Jewish gematria. Satan equals 232. 232. I'm not even going to lie. When I learned gematria, I happen to be living on 232nd Street. I find that strange in reverse. Or looking back, my address was 6, 232nd. But that wasn't the time of Obama. But anyway, Obama became president while the country was 232 years old. Remember, Barak means lightning. In the Bible, Satan comes to earth in a lightning bolt in Luke 10:18. That's why that date always comes up, October 18th, event 201, and so on. But Obama has this Satan thing going on. Remember when people got struck by lightning on his birthday the other year, the old Wisconsin couple? How weird is that? By the White House, they got struck by a bolt lightning that was in the news on Obama's birthday, of all days. Wisconsin has that gematria of 55, like lightning and Satan. But, and did it even really happen, or was it just another numerical news story is the question? But again, it was the same Obama who took office in the Satan ritual, who then on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, invited Trump to the White House for the Correspondents' Dinner on April 30th, 2011. Again, on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, he tells the joke about Trump becoming number 45 and shows the White House lit up like a casino with Trump in the hot tub on the front lawn of the White House with girls in bikinis in the hot tub. Go look it up. It's all part of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That was one of the little jokes that night for the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, 45 days before Trump's birthday on June 14th. Trump runs on MAGA, which is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. Again, these kind of things show how rigged the game is. And then with Obama, you can also show how he announced that he was running for president on February 10th, 2007, which was to the day the 31st anniversary of Black History Month being recognized by the federal government. The 31st anniversary. 31's the 11th prime. Black equals 11. Obama equals 31. Slave equals 31. Black History Month recognized on the 10th day of the second month, 102, like slavery's 102. In 76, like slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, all equal 76, like Barack Obama. And then again, to show that it's all biblical, you just got to go to Acts, the 44th book of the Bible, like Obama's number 44. Acts 7:6 is one of the most infamous verses in the Bible about 400 years of slavery. 7:6. Again, Brian's sitting here going like, well, there's 500 different languages. Yeah, but English is the most taught language across the world, and it was the one that was standardized at the same moment the calendar was rolled out. And all of this was done by the Catholic Church and Jesuit priests. You can follow that factoid to what founders warned about the Jesuits in this nation. You can see that they moved the capital to the Jesuit stronghold, and again to the 201st day of the nation's age, which is 20/1 is inauguration day. Again, the Jesuit Order 201, Ignatius Loyola 201, Jorge Mario Bergoglio 201. That's the founder of the Jesuits and the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. His birth name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio. You know, April 19th, that tragic date. Brian skipped town when we went to Oklahoma City. Timothy McVeigh 201. April 19th is the anniversary of Ignatius Loyola becoming the first superior general of the Jesuits. Terry Lynn Nichols 201. Mercury Marquis 201. Brian can drive down to the Masonic Temple behind the museum and see that there's a plaque there that says after the explosion it was damaged and the building sold for $201,000. This number's everywhere. You can see that the whole scam with Ukraine. That's how you can see through all of Donald Trump's scams. All of Donald Trump's scams and all of his lies on the campaign trail are easily exposed by understanding the knowledge. Trump is saying the war in Russia and Ukraine wouldn't happen if he was in office. Doesn't have anything to do with him. It has to do with the Jesuits. Biden and Putin met 201 days after the first Jesuit Ignatian year began, and then the war began in the 201 Donbass region. You know, there's been 1,000 201 rituals since. Israel and Hamas broke out in a big 201 ritual. And we told you when it was going to break out, almost to the same day that Netanyahu came back in a big 201 ritual. We said look for a war to start in 2023, very close to Yale's 322nd birthday. It started 2 days before that. What day did we send $95 billion to Israel and Ukraine? Oh, on the 201st day of the war. On the 201st day of the war. And remember, we signed off on all that money on Hitler's birthday. The Congress signed off on all the money on Hitler's birthday. And then Biden signed off on it on the 201st day of the war. State of Israel 201. The Holy Bible 201. The Biblical Playbook. Again, this whole code, the calendar, the language, the Bible, all of this has been connected, and they're using it one sick joke after the next, day after day, constantly paying tribute to evil, Satan, all kinds of stories. The Tower of Babel, the tower that divides the world. Where's that story end? Genesis 11:9. Isn't that how the majority of the world writes the 11th of September? The towers come down. CBS is running the story about the dancing Israelis. The American government's blaming Muslims. Islam wants to, according to the media, Islamic people want to wage a holy war against Christianity in America. Again, all of this stuff being instigated. And again, just people not knowing history and not knowing the significance of these dates. What day did the CIA overthrow Iran that funds all this terrorism? What day did the CIA overthrow Iran? Oh, that's right. It started on August 15th, the Jesuit order's birthday. Oh, that's right. Wasn't the CIA founded on the 201st day of the Pope's age? Oh, isn't that right that the words in the CIA's logo equal 201, just like their motto, the work of a nation, the center of intelligence? It's all 201. Brian, in what world wouldn't you or Owen Benjamin or Anomaly or any of you guys who all collaborate with each other, why do you guys all make fun of this and not want to share it? Supposedly you guys all have problems with the world and you want people to wake up to things, but then you don't want to show them the one thing that's evidence-based. I haven't seen any of you guys make any correct predictions about anything. I haven't seen not one of you guys call one thing correctly ever. Not one ever. And then you have Rick James come on there and have the audacity to act like who's predicting anything with Gematria. Right here, this guy. Nothing but correct predictions for over a decade now. Some idiot will clip that and be like, oh, well, here's something you got wrong. Okay, the point I'm making is the things that I said would happen when I got here a decade ago, they're all happening. The exact thing, everything that I laid out over a decade ago about where we're going. Greater tyranny, greater censorship, things like what we saw in 2020. We knew 2020 was going to be a year of years because we know about the 19-year cycle these psychopaths work on. COVID-19, 19 years after 9/11 and the 19 hijackers, which came 19 years after the war on drugs, which came 19 years after the war on JFK's head, which came 19 years after we deployed the most troops for World War II. All of these wars have ended up being on wars on personal freedom. And again, there's a reason Thomas Jefferson warned about the Jesuits, and there's a reason Thomas Jefferson said, if you do not revolt every 19 years, you will lose your rights and liberties. The things that we've learned now, Thomas Jefferson was clearly aware of back then. You know, who did Lincoln blame the Civil War on? The Jesuits. I've seen Brian mock me and me talking about the Jesuits before on his channel. That's super suspicious. Donald Trump's Jesuit educated. Kamala couldn't pass the bar until she took it at the Jesuit University there in the Bay Area. Of course, Biden's Jesuit educated as well. On and on and on. Obama, the guy who made him large and on the scene in Chicago, is a Jesuit priest. And just all these little jokes, you guys. This thing with McDonald's and Trump on Kamala's birthday and then the E. coli outbreak right after. What day did the outbreak supposedly start? September 27th? Oh, that's funny. That's the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by Rome to counter the 95 Theses. Again, September 27th leaves 95 days left in the year. Like Martin Luther pinned the 95 Theses, and then 201 months later, the Jesuits were created. And then Martin Luther King Jr. was eventually assassinated on the 95th day of the year, and the nation's first gun control came 201 days later. Kind of like Dune Blaine, which got gun rights taken away in the UK, came exactly 201 months before Sandy Hook. But this thing about the E. coli outbreak, do you know who discovered E. coli? And personally, you know, here, I'm going to actually, everything's medical misinformation. I really think E. coli is something that mostly impacts unhealthy people. But anyway, it was discovered by a Jesuit-educated man, E. coli was, Theodore Escherich, Jesuit-educated in Austria, just like Hitler was Jesuit-educated in Austria. And just like how Hitler's birth certificate name is Adolphus Hitler, which equals 201, and he did model the SS after the Jesuits, and the Catholic Church turned a blind eye to it. But again, by understanding the things we're talking about, you can really start to see how it all comes together. And let's not forget the movie The Founder about Ray Kroc. That came out when? When did that movie come out in the U.S.? It came out on Inauguration Day when Trump took office, January 20th, 2017. The movie about Ray Kroc just happened to come out on Ronald McDonald, the president's Inauguration Day, 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age, 201. Let's not forget the official title of that day on the government website's Inauguration of the President of the United States, which equals 201. Just like the words in the CIA's logo, the Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America. Again, just like their motto, the work of a nation, the center of intelligence. And if you've seen The Founder, if you've seen that movie, again, Michael Keaton, the guy who helps take off the McDonald's is the guy Michael Keaton meets, who is what? If you've seen the movie, Michael Keaton meets this guy, what's he doing? What's the line? If you guys haven't seen the movie, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you've seen the movie, Michael Keaton meets a guy, and he helps him make McDonald's. But who was that guy and what was he selling? Here's the line in the movie. He comes to Michael Keaton's door. He introduces himself with a Jewish name. And Michael Keaton says back to him, he says, "What's a Jew doing selling Catholic Bibles?" For people who don't have enough information, it doesn't make any sense to them. For people who do, you realize right away what it's a nod to. The Jesuits. Martin Luther, who led the Protestant Reformation, led it against two religions. He targeted Catholicism and Judaism. He said there cannot be a decent society if these religions continue to exist. Do you remember what they did to Morgan Spurlock this year? Remember how Morgan Spurlock got killed in the massive Jesuit ritual? Like, Brian, this is why we should have a conversation. We could have brought up all these things tonight. You could have been like, well, how do we know it means anything? Not a coincidence. And we could just pull out 1,000 different examples, and we could say, well, how many of these things do you think are a coincidence, Brian? You know, Morgan Spurlock's dead on 5/23. There is something known as satanic gematria, which fits right in there with Trump running on MAGA, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. But Morgan Spurlock dead on 5/23. We've talked about this number with Donald Trump 1,000 times, Mr. McDonald's. The leader of the Jesuits, the news broke the day after, on the 195th day of the Jesuit leader's age. And that's the same day Trump was with the Jesuit Pope at the Vatican in 2017. May 24th is a very special day. The Jesuits, Raymond Albert Kroc, you know, the founder, 195. But also the Pope. I mean, look at this. This is where it gets undeniable. Again, in Gematria, hamburgers equals Burger King equals McDonald's equals Freemasonry. Remember, modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. DC's the Masonic city where the Jesuits set up camp. It really makes a ton of sense once you just realize it all. But how many days from the Pope's birthday did Morgan Spurlock die? 158 days. And, you know, when Brian and I were younger, we probably both worked at, well, I don't know if Brian did. I mean, I worked at a fast food restaurant when I was younger growing up. Back then, when you took the food handler's test, and it was this way until recent years, but you had to cook hamburgers to 160 degrees. That was the answer for forever. But only just recently did they change it. The USDA and now the test, now you cook a hamburger to 158 degrees. That's now the answer, you guys. So the guy who went after Donald Trump, or not after Donald Trump, excuse me, he went after, I guess through going after McDonald's in a way he went after Donald Trump, but no, the guy who went after McDonald's was Super Size Me. He just happened to die this year, where it comes to this big climax of, you know, Trump, you know, making fun of Kamala on her 60th birthday. And let's not forget, Trump's ex-wife fell down the stairs and died exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Nation year. But remember, again, like Rick James, when he was asking all those questions, he just said, well, you know, like Zach teaches this every day, and he really has explained how there are 4 base ciphers of the English language, and if you just learn them, you can see through the rituals every day. But French fries, golden arches, Donald Trump, I think there's another 60 in there I'm forgetting. They're all 60, right? You just got to say, what are the odds? Some, like, people who are brain dead will be like, well, I bet with 4 ciphers you can make anything equal anything. And then all you have to do is like, oh, well, here, put in your own name. Let's see if your name equals 60. Oh, my name doesn't. Here, let me try my middle name to see if I can get it to 60. Nope. Here, let me try my dad's name. Nope. Let me try his full name. Nope. Nope. Here, let me try my mom's name. Oh, nope. I guess not everything equals 60. But all these things do. Donald Trump, golden arches, French fries, they're all 60. And again, Trump's ex-wife did die exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Ignatian year. And you can look at the other 2 stories that day that happened before it. It was July 14th, 2022, which also just happens to be the day that Mr. McDonald, who designed the golden arches, died in history. Yeah, look it up. Trump's ex-wife did die on the anniversary of the guy who designed the McDonald's logo dying. And the founder did come out. The movie about Ray Kroc, it did come out again on the day, on the day that Trump got inaugurated. The guy who keeps serving all these athletes when they win championship McDonald's. Again, McDonald's is really a real estate company. Trump's a real estate guy. You could say this country's a real estate business. You can't own anything without having to pay taxes to the government. You want to buy a nice plot of land, enjoy paying taxes to the government every year on it. And now they have the audacity to talk about unrealized capital gains. And right now they're saying, oh, it's only for the very richest, but what is it, 2 election cycles from now that it'll be for everybody? Just watch. Anyway, on Kamala's 60th birthday, Trump's working the golden arches, giving out French fries. Now, where are the Jesuits from? Oh, that's right, they're from France. Now, did we make a correct prediction off of this whole ritual? Did I not tell you guys 24 hours in advance that Trump was going to be going to the Steelers game where Mr. McDonald of the Jets would be getting a sack 99 days after the hoax in Butler? Again, you guys, this is how deep it all is. And Manchurians on the football field and in the political arena. Sunday Night Football's 99. We predicted both number 99s would get sacks in the game. They did. One of them's name was McDonald. Remember, Trump went from the McDonald's outside of Philly to the Steelers game, where number 99 on the Steelers is McDonald. We knew he was going to get the Big Mac sack. But if you go back and look, he's 25 years old, McDonald on the Jets, New York team like Trump. Trump's 25, and we've talked about 138 in Trump and rigged sports 1,000 times over the years. That Big Mac sack from McDonald the day of the McDonald's ritual was 138 days after the 25-year-old McDonald's birthday. And again, how is this possible? Because things are this planned out. Things are this planned out. They're ritual, just like how a guy who races horses for a long time, these people who run these rigged sports leagues, they're raising humans like thoroughbreds. And for all of you who say, well, how's that possible? Let me take you back to when I was in middle school and I started to realize I must be smarter than my science teachers. The big news on the 53rd day of the year, let me take you back. It was the 53rd day of the year. I remember like it was yesterday. We got the big news that they could clone a sheep. They could clone a sheep, Dolly. And check it out. The name was Dolly the sheep, right? Dolly the sheep's also 53. I wish I would have known this in middle school. And that's why people like Brian who act like there's no reason to share this, it's just like these people can't be serious. But I was in middle school and I didn't know gematria, but I had a brain. And I said, well, wait a minute. If they can clone a sheep, then that means that they can clone a human being. Or either that or this story's fake. And my science teacher was like, well, I'm not sure about that. And I said, well, are we a mammal? And my science teacher was like, yeah. I'd say, is a sheep a mammal? And they go, yeah, you got a good point there. And I'd say, well, then if you can clone a sheep, you can clone a human being. And if you can clone human beings, that means you can make human beings. And if you can make human beings, that means you can probably, edit the genetics and choose who's superior for athletes, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, this ritual with the Big Mac sack and McDonald on Sunday Night Football, that wasn't anything new. And by the way, 523 is the 99th prime number. Remember, we helped a gentleman win $350,000 because about July 1st, before the World Series, where Boston beat LA in Game 5 like we said they would 4-1, 99 days before the Super Bowl, where Brady beat the Rams in Super Bowl 53. Patriots in Los Angeles equal 53. That's the 16th prime. There are only 16 points scored in the game. Score was 13-3 like football's 133 like LA's 13. Anyway, I explained at the start of July why Boston would beat the Dodgers 4-1 in the World Series 99 days from the Super Bowl to conclude the 99 season. And just look, you guys, like New England's 99, New England 99. This 99 season ended with Super Bowl 53, Patriots 53, Los Angeles 53. Nothing but scripts. But we knew it would be 4-1 series because that was the way it'd be 99 days from the Super Bowl, and Brady was 41 at the time, the Super Bowl number. Just like last year, we said Mahomes will throw 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl to get to 41 in the postseason, and we had him to pick up his 41st road win in Baltimore the week before in the AFC Championship to go there, and on 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 and on. And Brian's here going like, predict something. It's like, dude, we've like predicted like everything. What else do we need to predict? We've predicted college, pro, every pro, World Cup, election, news, hurricanes, earthquakes. I mean, am I not, what am I batting? 1,000% on predicting hurricane dates and earthquakes this year? And Brian's sitting here going, oh, well, let's hear a prediction then. How about get caught up? How about get caught up? How in the hell are you wasting your time with these bozos that you brought on tonight who didn't bring shit to the table while you let me sit in the back room and then make up a whole bunch of bullshit about how bad of a guy I am? Because here's the real thing that I asked Brian. It came back to me. I remember my exact phrasing when he called into the show. I said, are you here to wake up the masses or sell t-shirts? That's what got him all butthurt. He was so butthurt about that. He's like, what's the difference? You have a book for sale. And I said to him, I said, yeah, I do. And it's good information, and I charge almost nothing for it. I said, what do your t-shirts go for? My book costs $5. 800 pages, blood, sweat, and tears, and anyone asks for it for free, I give it away for free. I said, do you give away your stuff for free? He didn't want to answer that question. No, that's why he got all butthurt, and then I'm the bad guy. But anyway. Yeah, there's a lot of fakes, phonies, and frauds, and because most people are so dumb and have no discernment, they can't tell who's real. They can't tell they can't tell that the guy who's writing unprecedented knowledge in books, giving them out for free here every single day, literally predicting the future, laying it down cold, undeniably. People still can't figure out what the difference is. Brian gets on here and gives the same 5 to 10 talking points, rinse and repeat. Brings in the latest news story, same 5 to 10 talking points, nothing new. People will come here and say, well, you're just breaking down every day it's new though, isn't it? It's a new breakdown, it's a new connection, it's a new piece of the puzzle showing you what's coming next, where we're always ahead of the curve, isn't it? But yeah, anyway, the reason I got caught up on the 523 thing and remembered the 99th NFL season, that year the Patriots came into the NFL season with 523 franchise wins. 523 the 99th prime number. That's how scripted things are. Just like how it was 9/11 Patriot Act Patriots. You know who they faced that year? I was talking about all this way before the season began. And I said Aaron Donald will be on the other side of the ball. Aaron Donald with a May 23rd birthday, 523. What number did Aaron Donald wear? All you NFL buffs already know. He wore 99. Aaron Donald equals 99. Another Manchurian, born on 523. So the point I'm making is here now we are years later, and now Morgan Spurlock's dead on 523, like 523, the 99th prime. And then in the year later, Trump's doing this massive ritual with McDonald's and then going to Sunday Night Football 99 days after the hoax in Butler. See, Brian, when we played that clip earlier of this guy calling Brian a tinfoil hat, let's rewind this again. Let's imagine that I'm here and this happens. Let's just imagine how this would go. Let's go back and rewind this.
Okay.
I just pointed out all the evil things that he did.
Why did God spare him?
I didn't even scratch the surface.
Why did God spare him?
What's that?
Why did God spare him?
Spare him from what?
The bullet.
The bullet? How do you know he was hit by a bullet? Did you see his ear 2 weeks later? It was completely healed. Can you explain that?
Oh, the blood. Oh, come on. Man, you forgot your tinfoil hat.
And they caught the bullet on camera. Guys, they caught the bullet on camera.
Not a bad response. Because, yeah, I mean, you got to be a real dope to believe this bullshit. And this is why this is the part of Brian I like. Like, the masses are so low, it's pathetic, right? And our job as people who are enlightened are trying to pull the masses up, as many of them so many don't want to. They just want to stay down and be bottom feeders, trying to show them there's a nicer part of the sea up here if you would just come up and take a look. But the thing is, like, yeah, there's levels to this. There's the bottom feeders who Brian's trying to reach, and then there's Brian who's right in the middle, and then there's us. And Brian knows that that's the case, and that's really the ego part for Brian. He doesn't want to get outshined. He wants to be number one on his show. And realize I've never had that problem. I've always brought people on my show who I thought might be better than me, and I've said, oh man, I think you might be the greatest one to ever do it. Hey, you guys go sub him. And notice, I get all the haters in the world. Nobody hates on Brian. The best fraud on the tube. That's the best compliment I can give you, Brian. You're the best fraud on the tube. But imagine that I'm there, and this guy's all Jesus-y over here and all Trumpy. He's coming with the regurgitated tinfoil hat crap. I'd say, okay, well, here, let's rewind. I'll say, tell me about where Trump was on April 30th, 2011. Do you remember where he was that day? This guy's like, well, why does that matter? And I'm like, well, it was the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Obama. I'm sure you're a big Obama fan, and you know this guy's going to say, of course not. But just to make the point, Obama had Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's a reminder that Trump was a lifelong Democrat, friends with the Clintons. But go back and watch. You can pull it up on your phone right now. You can watch Obama's joke about Trump's going to become number 45. And here's what's weird, Mr. Jesus person. You can look and see that that's the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan. And it was also 45 days before Trump's birthday. And you can verify right now on that phone in your hand that MAGA is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. And then if he's like, oh, come on, I mean, that's all a coincidence, which these people are inclined to do, I say, okay, maybe it is. But I said, do you remember when Trump's ex-wife fell down the stairs and died? And he might be like, oh, yeah. So do you remember that was 45 years after their marriage? And he might sit there and look at me. Okay. I say, I don't want to bore you, but there's so many 45s. I'll say, do you remember how earlier this year we had that trial in New York, Alvin Bragg versus the Braggart? All this stuff goes over everybody's head. I said, did you realize that Stormy Daniels took the stand 45 days after her 45th birthday and that the trial ended 45 days after it began? You know, I mean, and then I could pull out my pocketbook of the 5,000 other 45 rituals Trump's been in. We don't even have to bring up the Gematria piece, but once you bring up the Gematria, I mean, that's where it's just over, too, because then you see that Juan Merchant equals 45, the judge, and a million other things, and Berlin Wall equals 45, like how they had to call the election for Trump on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall when he ran on building a wall, and the Berlin Wall's the same one that Ronald Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down. You guys remember how Gorbachev died by the numbers? Didn't we call that, too? Didn't we say exactly what age he would die at? And then he did? All synced up with this scam in Russia, Ukraine. But yeah, I mean, we could just go on all night. And that's why, you know, Brian, Owen Benjamin, and Anomaly have all mocked my work. They've all gotten way bigger audiences than they ever deserve. You can tell Anomaly's definitely one of them because, like, somehow, some way, he's done so many celebrity collaborations. And it just, that guy just annoys the hell out of me. His little beta male voice and everything about him just total lame. But all of them are like, why does it matter if people know Gematria? Like, let's come on and have a conversation about why it matters, because it shows how rigged the game is. You know? Undeniably, beyond any level. Dumb questions like the ones Brian's trying to ask to get away with. Why just English then? Why just English? Yeah, only the most spread language in the world right now. Oh, yeah, it's just like all the other languages, isn't it, Brian? English, you couldn't differentiate it from any other language right now. God, it's just a ridiculous question. It's like, are you dumb, Brian? Are you dumb? Are they teaching Swahili all over the world? Are they teaching Swahili in the middle of the Burmese jungle right now? No, but they're teaching English. God. You can go almost anywhere in the world. There's English signs almost everywhere. People speaking English. It's rare to go to any place in this world where they don't know at least a little bit of English. But yeah, again, just realize, you guys, for all of you who can't figure it out, the whole time I've been here, every channel that was ever allowed to grow and get big, they've all attacked my work, slandered my name, unwilling to ever do a collaboration or interview, but they'll all debate and circle jerk each other. I mean, Brian threw out the names of channels that have only been here for not even that long, maybe a handful of years, about how great their work is. The Last American Vagabond, please. I mean, if you want to stay in the dark, The Last American Vagabond, that bald little twerp, another guy that came out of nowhere and started talking shit about my work, started collaborating with the racist Adam Green initially. All the people that Brian shouted out tonight. It's like, if you want to continue to follow these people, you will stay in the dark, lost, with not enough information to ever see what's what. Point blank, period. And people can call it arrogance all they want. What we're doing is miles ahead of everybody. And see, if you guys could get over your egos, see, it's not an ego problem over here. I can recognize that my work is 1,000,000 times better than yours. And that's evident because you're not calling the future. You're not helping anybody make money. You don't understand how Bitcoin's rigged. You're talking about Bitcoin like it's this legit thing. No, it's not. How many dead-on accurate Bitcoin predictions have we made over the years showing you how it's all synced with the Jesuits? That's who runs Bitcoin, the same bankers. Brian will leave you at Federal Reserve bankers. Who are the original bankers? The Templars. What's in the middle of the Jesuit order's logo? The Templar cross. The reason my work is superior to all these other channels is, again, because there's no predictive power in any of their work. They're caught up in the psyops. They can't differentiate if it's a psyop or a real news story. They're still on that level. They're not doing anything to show how connected all of this stuff is. Meanwhile, we're accomplishing all that and more. Showing you how rigged the game is, undeniably 1,000,000 years ahead of everybody else. And anyone who'd say otherwise, here, let me drop the link for anybody who'd come on here and say otherwise. If I'm tripping, come on here and tell me who's put it together more, who's made better predictions, who's been more accurate. I mean, did we not have 2020 circled 5 years in advance about how bad the next major false flag in the world would be? I mean, we were calling that out 5 years in advance. Las Vegas, that thing in 2017, did we not say all year up and down have that exact period of Yom Kippur circled for the biggest false flag since 9/11, plus 1,000,000 other things? But I'm just saying these are major things that happened that we are way ahead of the curve on. So somebody come on here and tell me who's doing better work anywhere near. Tell me so I can laugh. No, but seriously, if there is somebody, I want to know, because I want to follow that person. I want to know who's doing better work. I'd like to learn something. That's the way I feel. I feel like standing on top of the mountain and it's just lonely up here. It's like, look at all these little people down here getting way too much attention, who aren't saying shit, who aren't helping out with nothing, way behind the curve, still don't have nothing figured out, but somehow they got the audience, somehow they got the following. Their work isn't doing jack shit for anybody, but they got the following. Wait, all these people way down the mountain. We already climbed to the top of Everest. These guys can't even get up the cliff, but they're all circle jerking each other. Is this the real accomplishment, that you're too weak to get up the mountain and figure it out? Is this where all the cool kids hang out, down at the bottom of the mountain? You guys can't get up here. You can't get up here, but you can't acknowledge the man who did? That's the way I've been feeling for about a decade now. All right, Joey, I see you in the back room. I know you're not going to come on and say what I want, but you can hang out there. I'll bring you on in a second. I want somebody to come on here and tell me I'm wrong. Am I not the guy standing on top of Mount Everest, and have I not been up here for a decade? Wondering why somebody else isn't helping us get out, because the only thing above us is the cabal and the authorities that are making sure nobody knows about it? It's like they're trying to shoot us off the top constantly. They're like, nobody can know that he's standing up on the top. Make sure nobody hears about it. Here, boost Brian in the algorithm so they can hear about coffee mug violence. Make sure coffee mug violence is what they're all saying in the algorithm. Here, get Brian, get Anomaly on there. Anomaly will keep them confused. We want more. God, put an Owen Benjamin on there so he can call people the N-word and play his piano. That's what I've been witnessing this whole time. Just all these clowns coming out of nowhere. See, I've been here longer than all these people, too. That's what else makes me sick. I watched all these people come up here with mediocre information and climb way past while I get deleted left and right. All this stuff makes me sick. And you got Brian pretending like he wants to do something about something when he doesn't want to do nothing. He wants to sell more t-shirts. That's what he's mad about, because he knows I got his number. None. Those aren't channels back up. None. That was the period of time where they were deleting every channel within like 2 days of existing, putting 2 strikes on it so I couldn't post. So, I mean, those channels were the ones that somehow, some way they didn't delete all the way. But those channels are from after the destruction of the channel that was making a difference. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I mean, those channels have been there. You have to understand that from when they deleted my first channel, June 28, 2017, from that period to the time I was probably on my 12th, 13th, 14th channel, it probably wasn't even 5 months later. I mean, I couldn't keep a channel up for a week. Roby Gubins, you're in the back room with no devices connected. If you want to be on the show, you got to connect devices. Here, somebody come on here and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me my perspective's not right. YouTube promoting all these losers who got nothing relevant to offer other than just peddling the mainstream bullshit every day and pick sides on it, or do what Brian does. You know, Brian will tell you the federal government's corrupt, but then he leaves it at like it's the Federal Reserve that runs it. No, it's not, Brian. The Federal Reserve doesn't run it. What's behind the Federal Reserve? That's what runs it. You got to talk about the thing behind it. Who are the original bankers? It is the church. It is religion. Brian said, this almost sounds religious. Yeah, it's because it is. We are ruled over by religious people, a priest class, occultists, people that are into sorcery and seemingly have cast a spell over humanity. And if you refuse to acknowledge it, you must still be under the same spell too. You're only halfway out of it. If you're in my chat asking who's behind the central banks, I mean, did you just get here, or did you just arrive at the channel in the last 20 seconds? I mean, I've only spent the whole stream talking about it. The Jesuits, the Templars are the original bankers. What is the Jesuit order's logo? The sun with the Templar cross right in the middle. What does Society of Jesus equal? 56. How old was the president when the Federal Reserve was established? 56. He did it, right before they got their world wars underway. Like an unbelievable question. Who's behind the central banks? Unless you just got here 2 seconds ago, it's a ridiculous question to be asking. Okay, well, it doesn't look like there's anybody who can come on here and tell me anything different. All right, well, what do you want to say, Joey?
Can I talk about the NFL?
The stream's not about the NFL, Joey.
There's some...
It's okay, Joey. We already talked about the NFL today. There's undeniable stuff every day. So you can stay in the back room. If nobody else comes on, it's just every time you call in, it's off topic. It's just like... We torched the NFL again. 11-3 for the week, if you want to know. 11-3. Not our best week, but not a bad week either. Most people couldn't do 11-3 in their life. It's run of the mill for us. Thank you again, Rick James. Thank you, Little Lord Wordy. Shout out to Nathan. Run Your Pocket says, congrats to the winners. Made 300 this weekend. Thank you, Zach. Shout out to the Patreon. We're eating. Indeed, we are. Meanwhile, Brian's acting like nobody's predicting anything with Gematria when we do it every week, every day. I still remember Brian when the 2020 election happened. He was like, I don't know. I went to bed and Trump was leading and now Biden's winning. It looks like it might be stolen. Like, Brian, haven't we been calling it out for months? The Transition Integrity Project at Jesuit Georgetown, where they simulated that Biden would narrowly win the election. Trump would refuse to step down, saying he was cheated and it would lead to deadly violence. I know the last 2 times I had videos that got over 100,000 views, which used to be something I did every day. It was for predicting January 6th accurately before it happened, based on the Transition Integrity Project, along with going with predicting the election dead on over a year in advance. You think Brian would want to bring on yours truly to share that kind of information, but instead he wants to keep it on the level of, well, I just know that I went to bed and Trump was leading, so something must have happened. Yeah, it was all simulated and planned long ago. And this is what you should be sharing with your audience rather than acting like one of the dum-dums getting taken by the PSYOP. Appreciate it, Coney. Thank you very much. $6.99 Canadian. And thank you as well, Chosen93. Appreciate the donations. Yeah, exactly. What kind of information used to exist in this world of the masses before these people started destroying everything? Exactly. Just like how I should have about 12,000 more videos on the tube waking people up. I don't, because of these book burners that now run these Jesuit. And that's how you can see that all these big tech platforms are completely Jesuit. Just follow the 201 code. Look into all these companies' history. Why is Google CEO Sundar Pichai equal 201? Doesn't it go perfectly with how they recognize their birthday as the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church? Look at Mark Zuckerberg and all of his 201 rituals. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook the same day DARPA's LifeLog concluded. All these things. Elon Musk, the biggest Jesuit puppet on the world stage. Again, Elon Musk definitely doesn't run a rocket company or a car company. Go see his interview from the 90s on CNN, where he was one of the new tech multimillionaires. And they said, "What do you want to do with all your money?" He says, "Oh, I'm going to buy a McLaren, a car," right? And then becomes the car company guy. But yeah, it was January 7th, 2021, the 78th anniversary of the death of Tesla, that he's declared the richest man in the world for the first time ever. Tesla's 78 like Jesuit. Now he's allied with Trump in the biggest way ever. The two white hats, while Trump's 78 years old. Top cards in the tarot deck are Trump cards. There's 78 cards in the deck. All these things are connected. Tarot cards, 119. The winner of this election takes office with the 119th Congress. But now his phrase is, "I'm dark mega Elon Musk. I'm dark mega 78. 78 and 42, just like Jesuit." And remember, when he offered to buy Twitter, he did it for $54 a share on 14/4. Nothing but Jesuit rituals day after day. Jesuit headquarters, Church of the Jesu, Building 54. Well, of course there's other methods of prediction. Here, but why don't you come on here and tell me what works as well? Come on here and tell me what works just as well, actually, since you left that comment. I know you're right, but there's another method of prediction that works as well. I'd like to know it. I'd like to know it. Come on and tell us all about it. Yeah, Art of War. The only reason people know about that text is because of the Jesuit priest, Father Amia. And that book was published right before this nation was founded that's always been at war. All right, here we got the man who's going to tell us other ways to predict. What's up?
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going all right. What's going on? Hold on, let me make sure I got the audio right. I might have the wrong set.
Sorry, I'm getting feedback right now.
You should be good.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of your work. I started reading your book. I'm a huge fan. I see the I'm a moderator on another YouTube channel, and
You're cutting in and out. You're a moderator where?
hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Oh, snap. Well, he'll come back, hopefully. Yeah, again, just for the latest big Jesuit ritual, you guys, just this whole thing with the McDonald's E. coli outbreak. Again, it began on September 27th, that recurring Jesuit date that happens all the time, the day they were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church in history, the day leaving 95 days left in the year to counter the 95 Theses. But again, look at who discovered E. coli. Jesuit-educated man. Go figure. All right, I'm waiting for our friend with the other prediction methods to come back. He says in the chat he's switching up his phone. Yeah, Joe Rogan acknowledged my work in 2016 in his own podcast with Rosie O'Donnell on, and that's 8 years ago now. So he's not going to have us on. He's never even broached the topic since that one time. He's like, "Have you heard about this gematria thing? This practice of coding numbers into words? It's pretty interesting." And then he never talked about it again. And it was, I mean, I was the only person on. I was getting pretty big views back then. Nobody else was talking about that subject back then, so I don't think anyone else would have put that on his radar. And I'm sure his handlers. Remember, he's done so many rituals by the numbers, Joe Rogan. Let me just show you how big of a joke it is with all these people on the world stage. Let's go back to Joe Rogan at UFC 12, his debut with UFC 12. Hold on, where do I have that post at? Just his whole thing with news radio, UFC. That's why you learn this code. You just see how big of a joke it is. Joe Rogan, there's a lot younger Joe Rogan, made his debut at UFC 12. I mean, just look at Joe in UFC. I mean, you think that's an accident? Oh, again, you learn this knowledge, you just see through it all. You literally see through it all. Rigged markets, rigged sports games, rigged elections, rigged news, literally rigged weather. Anyone who thinks that's crazy, trust me, it's not. It's a fact. It's undeniable. Rigged earthquakes. How many more do we got to predict? I'm still waiting for our guy to come back on here in the back room. Joe Rogan, UFC 12. Hey, Joe, have us on. Joe's probably watching right now. Let's talk about it, Joe. Let's talk about what a little puppet you are too. You see, I can't stand listening to Trump, you guys. Listening to Trump just reminds me of what a nation of losers I've been living in for all of my life. And people get mad about that kind of stuff too, but I'm sorry. You see how it says truth matters up here? It does matter that I've been living in a nation of losers my whole life, and so have you. And you should recognize that unless you're one of them. This nation's full of losers. Take a look around. Fat slobs, dummies, low intelligence, can't see through obvious rigged bullshit, support criminal politicians. They watch news that mocks them every day. When these are things that you do, you're a loser. And that's what this nation's full of. I've been fed up with it since I was a child. That's why I don't vote in rigged selections and only dummies do. All right, let's our man here's got the other prediction method that I got to hear about. I'm listening.
Does this work better? Can you hear me?
Way better.
Oh, wow. Good. First of all, I just want to say I found your channel a couple months ago. I've been watching in the background, got your book, been reading it, super impressed. I see the truth in Gematria. I've decoded myself even. That's how I started getting into it. But I'm a moderator on a different channel. The channel is called Archaics, okay? I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but he's a chronologist. And it's funny you had a comment about ex-convicts earlier because he is an ex-convict. But
I just got to interrupt. A lot of people have been asking for me to collaborate with him. I'm going to listen because a lot of people like this guy's channel. I see him as another one of these ex-convicts on YouTube getting way too many views whose work absolutely, I would say, I'm not impressed with his work at all. And I don't think to compare his work to mine, like it's as good at predicting. I got to laugh at that dude.
Okay.
You don't know, you've only been here 2 months. We have been killing predictions.
No, I watch every day.
Here, real quick though, just tell me what's the best Archaics prediction there ever was? Because you said it's as good, so I got to hear this.
Well, he predicted the Israel war, but he does it in a completely different way. And
did he predict it specifically as we did, the exact day Netanyahu came back? And are you sure you didn't get that from me? I said the date Netanyahu came back on December 29, 2022. It would start real close to Yale's 322nd birthday. It started 2 days before then.
Yeah, no, you're on point, man. Like I see.
So how did he predict the Israel war though? What were the factors that he brought up?
So it's called calendar isometrics. Okay, so it's about using a prediction method using events in time, and like Nostradamus said, events in time are like ripples in a pond. And it's funny that you said like things happen every 19 years. So the idea is to like isolate an event, a major event or a major year. And then like a ripple in a pond, when you throw a stone in a pond, the waverings go left and right. Okay, so you find like major years that have happened in our history, and then you look at the major things and they move. You can find like, say the event, like here's a book by him. So maybe I'll just read like how he could predict, how in retrospect you could predict 9/11. So we take for our isometric epicenter year the year 1973. This was the beginning of the timelines involving the city of New York, passenger jets destroyed, and the World Trade Center towers. As we've stated, the buildings in New York are the tallest towers in the world. The Israelis previously shot down a Libyan passenger jet, killing 103 people. In retrospect, we know that passenger jets were used to destroy the World Trade Center towers in 2001, and that was 28 years after the World Trade Center was completed in 1973. We may never know the truth as to why the Israelis shot down the Libyan jet, but we do know that Libya is a thriving terrorist base of operations and sanctuary. Now, 2001 is 28 waverings from 1973, it being the future 2001 that unfolded after 1973. Studying its geometrical reflection of 28 waverings prior to 1973, we come to the year 1945. And that comes to a remarkable and little remembered event in American history that was never mentioned by the media during the 9/11 episode. In 1945, a US B-25 bomber piloted by Lieutenant Colonel William Smith crashed right through the 78th and 79th floor of the tallest building in the world, the Empire State Building. In New York, the pilot was flying through low fog clouds and lost his bearings. The space-time reflection is hauntingly precise. So essentially, 28 years prior to 1973, when the Trade Center was built, there was a plane that flew into the tallest building in the world in New York, the Empire State Building. 28 years later, there's the event of 2001. And he has a whole book. It's called The Nostradamus and the Planets of Apocalypse. And it just cites all these historical events where, by isolating the certain years, events tie together and they go forwards and backwards in time. And through doing that, he has whole videos, probably 20 to 30 different videos of just different predictions. They don't all come true, but a lot of them do. And it gets to a point where you're just like, okay, well, there's something to this. So it's just another layer of prediction is all I'm saying. And it's
okay. Well, hey, I always encourage people to get more information and form their own opinion. It's just, I'm not impressed. And from what I know about Archaics, he blames it on the JEWSs. And here, you guys go back and watch my video from the day Netanyahu came back. But I brought this up, and I was saying for years and years and years why something huge would happen with Israel while it was 75 years old. Yeah. And this is a real New York Times headline. For everybody who blames the JEWSs, like the convict archaics, again, it's because they don't have enough information. The New York Times has always been run by Jesuits, just like it's run by a Jesuit right now. Look at this headline right here. This is from October 6, 1940. Now, 33 years to the day later, the Yom Kippur War would start. And think about how many years later the war in Israel would begin. 83 years and a day later. These people are very repetitive with their dates. Again, October 7th leaves 85 days left in the year. Templar equals 85, who waged the Crusades. Just like how the Jesuit motto in their logo has the Templar cross and the phrase Jesus Hominum Salvator, which equals 85. But you have to look at this headline. Who pledged it to the Jews? Why is a Jesuit paper running the headline, New World Order Pledged to Jews? If it was pledged to somebody, that means that there's some higher authority that did this. Or am I mistaken about that?
Yeah, no.
So here's what I was saying the whole time. October 6, 1940. It's funny. Google, who's run by Jesuits, took down my old post on this from 2015. That date has 75 date numerology. I was saying forever. I said, just wait until Israel's 75 years old. And it turns 75 May 14, 2023. So when the war broke out in Israel, this war that's leading to a much greater war that's spreading all across the region, it happened while Israel's 75. Again, in Gematria, New World Order equals 75, like Catholic Church, like Roman Catholic, like order out of chaos, like the word order itself. And again, that's why when you understand that the language in the calendar came from the Catholic Church, again, Archaics won't talk about the work we're doing, just like all these other channels that get way too many views. I don't understand how Archaics comes out of nowhere and instantly has all these people everywhere promoting his work, sharing his work. And it's like, I just asked you to say something you predicted. You had to go back to something that happened in 2023, which we called the day Netanyahu came back. And we've had 1,000 more predictions since. But I guarantee you way more people know about Archaics' work. And the thing is, Archaics' work is easily debunked because you can see it's not Jews doing this. You can see why Israel was created the day it was. You can see why it was created on 14/5, when Catholic equals 145, and there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. So Archaics is, again, I don't want to put down everything he's doing, but I hear him blaming Jews. He gets on and he babbles forever and doesn't say shit. I'm somebody who, again, when I get on and do a video, here, this video right now is probably one of the worst videos I've ever made in my life, because I sat on here for like an hour and watched Brian stream to see if he'd pull us on. I don't waste people's time. I get on and just start dropping nothing but facts and information, verifiable shit, teaching people how to see through this. A guy like Archaics will get on and babble for so long and like nothing's been said. And I'm like, how the hell is this what people are listening to? It's like having their time wasted. And then again, the conclusions he comes to, it's just like, everything you just said to me, it's like, I don't know what to do with that information. I don't see how that's going to help me predict anything, honestly. Understanding who's running things, the calendar, how the calendar and the language are a game board, and how every single day systematic things are set up and repeat by this same repetitive code. This headline right here told you all these years in advance that something would go down while Israel's 75, and it literally happened one day after the anniversary of this article. So again,
I'm not saying his prediction method is above yours. I'm just saying that like there's other layers.
What you said, I know you're right, but there's another method of prediction that works as well. That's what you just said. So I didn't hear as well. Did Archaics help people go 11-3 in the NFL and pretty soon 12-3 today? You know what I mean?
I can't speak for him, but I do know you guys would have a good.
He did it.
I do know you guys would have a good conversation probably. That's all I'm saying. Like
he doesn't want to have a conversation. He trust me. He ignores my work and he shouts it down too, just like all the rest of them. They all denounce it like it's not important, but then they go on with their own babbling bullshit, which leads you nowhere, and it's not a fraction as good. So you're saying as well is a false statement. What else has he predicted?
He has his whole playlist of predictions.
Did he show how it was going to be the worst hurricane season this year, synced up with the rock as it unfolded and was dead on? Did he nail both earthquake predictions synced up with the rock this year in California? I mean, you know what I mean?
No, but he's not about just predictions. I'm just mean like a side effect of his work through studying chronology.
I know, but I have a problem. I'm a language guy, right? I'm showing the hidden meanings of language. If I'm reading in my chat that there's a prediction method out there that works just as well, I want to know about it.
Okay, well, all I'm saying is that you guys would probably have a pretty good conversation, and probably people would learn a lot from it.
We can have a debate. We can have a debate, and I'll debunk the bullshit he's putting out. But no, I don't want to collaborate with people who are doing this. That's what the whole shill network does. They just blame everything on Jews. They start turning everything into Jews. Everyone says I'm a Jew. I'm not even Jewish. I can pull down my pants and prove how Jewish I'm not right now. And if you don't know that, it's because Jewish people trim their dick. I didn't have that done to me. So. Anyway, I get sick of the whole fake shill network that blames everything on Jews, and they all circle jerk each other, and they all get way too many views. And it goes to show there's way too many Jew haters in the world too. So I bet almost all these Jew haters out here sit back and watch Netflix all night and enjoy the Jewish made movies.
Okay, fair enough. I was just had something to say. You said if there's anything else out there that has a prediction.
Doesn't Archaics blame everything on Jews?
They have a big part of it, yeah. In his research,
they have a big part of it. Here, tell me how big. How big is Judaism to the Catholic Church?
I'm sorry.
How big is Judaism to the Catholic Church?
Well, in his model or in his chronology, it seems that the Catholic Church and the whole Vatican was co-opted by the Church.
That's why they sacrificed the Rothschild this year, synced up with the Pope like it wasn't shit. Just like they've sacrificed several of the Rothschilds. What's Rothschild mean? It means red shield. That's what the Templars and the Roman Jews.
Right.
Did Jews start the banking system, or did the Catholic Church? See, what I'm trying to tell you guys is Archaics is part of a shill network. They come out of here. Their channels grow rapidly. They have everyone promoting them in everybody's comment section. And then they get on and promote the same bullshit that Jews run the world, which they don't. Now, are Jews part of the Jesuits? Yeah. But you see all these guys get on here and make false claims. Oh, yeah, the Jews bought out the Vatican. They run the Vatican. Oh, where's any proof of that? How come they haven't switched us over to the Hebrew calendar? How come they don't have the whole world speaking Hebrew? How come they keep sacrificing Jews left and right synced up with the Pope, like what they did with that Rothschild banker earlier this year? Here, for people who don't know, here, I'll show you what they did to that little Rothschild banker while synced up with the Pope's 87th birthday. Adios. Right here. Dead at 87. Look at this, you guys. Just ice cold. 87. Jacob Rothschild, N.F. Rothschild and Sons, the Catholic Church, Ignatius of Loyola, Number of the Beast with the 87-year-old Pope. You know, Jews run it. Here, we'll get rid of one of them on the 57th day of the year like it ain't shit. Adios, Jews. Again, they don't run it. 71 days after the Pope's birthday. Remind me, did the war in Israel start on Putin's 71st birthday? Who's having his little Jesuit war over there in ancient Khazaria? You know, the war started 71 days before the Pope's birthday. Again, Israel, like you got, Archaics is like from the Adam Green line. They act like Israel runs the world when Israel was created in a Catholic Jesuit ritual. That same ritual that created this nation. Again, they act like Israel. How can Israel be running the world when it hasn't even been around that long? I mean, it's insanity. So, anyhow, I just, again, if Archaics is out there and wants to come on and debate, you're not going to see it happen either. Just like Adam Green will debate people all day that Jews run the world, but he won't debate me. You know, he won't debate me. And in the one interview, when Adam Green, who hates Jews, went to Israel, isn't that weird? And then his first interview he did when he came back was with me, and he took it down the next day. He's part of this shill network too. They all know not to collaborate with me. They all know that they're going to get outshined and their work's going to get debunked.
I just thought it was cool.
If you're defending Archaics, tell me where any evidence is that Jews run the world. Tell me what the hardest piece of evidence is.
Listen, off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to just recite the facts, but if you go on his channel, he recently put out a video that is just chronology, and it just goes over dates and events that have happened. So you can check out his channel and judge for yourself.
I have judged this channel. It's just a babbling nonsense bullshit that getting way too many views. That's my wrap up on Archaics. I don't like his work at all.
Fair enough.
Way too many. Here, I'd encourage everybody. Almost every flat Earth shill is an ex-convict. Every Jew hater, ex-convict. All these channels that get way too many views that don't deserve them. They all have all the same traits. Ex-convicts. I want to figure out what the program is. Do I need to go to prison for a year so I can get some fucking views? It's a joke. Archaics became this household name overnight. And how? It's like you turn on his video. Here. You know what? Let's put on here. Since you're here, what's an Archaics video you'd recommend to watch? Let's sit back and watch 10 minutes of it.
If we're on this topic, he just put one out recently. It's called Tiny Hats series.
Yeah, let's watch it. Let's watch it. Let's watch it.
Okay.
All right, hold on. I'm going to put it on. Is it under the live? Jordan Crowder?
No, it would be under the videos. It would be under the videos. It's not a live. It's just
Isn't Jordan Crowder that not so funny Canadian comedian that's like big for Republicans?
I don't think he's Canadian. No.
Maybe I don't know who Jordan Crowder is.
No, but if you look at the lives, he's been doing interviews with all sorts of people, which is why I thought it might be beneficial for both of you guys to talk. But anyway, you'll find what I was talking about on the videos tab.
I don't see his video called Tiny Hats.
Yeah, right there. Second one. First or second one.
Hats off?
Hats off, sorry.
Okay, hats off. I see that. Okay. All right, hold on. I got to switch the audio settings around. So it's goofy the way they set up StreamYard. If you talk once I change this audio setting, it's going to echo for you. So if you want to talk, like signal me and I'll change the audio so you're not echoing, but I have to change it so we can hear his video.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I changed it. So now we're going to play his video for a little bit. And I'll be paying attention to you if you need to signal me.
Hey everyone, big heads up. Paleo Valley's running a sale on all their meat sticks right now. You can get 30 sticks for $36.
Welcome to episode 1, Archaics TV. It's the hat special. You guys already know I'm not talking about the white hats. I'm not talking about any other type of hats. I'm not talking about my hat either. So, we already know from prior presentations, some of you also doing your own research, we already know that the reason the Muslim excursions into Europe were so wildly successful was because the local Jews had been taken into the communities of Europe, had opened the city gates at night multiple times to allow Muslim invaders to come in and attack Christian European cities. This was a coordinated attack. The turncoats were the Jewish people that were inside the walls of these Christian cities. So how did they get there? I kind of addressed this in a prior presentation when I explained to you that the Roman Senate had basically, they were trying to genocide the Jewish people. They had gotten fed up. Exactly what they got fed up for multiple different reasons. These people are not assimilationists like Europeans are, like the Romans were. The Romans were the epitome of assimilationists. Assimilationists absorb other cultures, races, populations into their population, and they turn them into citizens. They turn them into members of the host culture. America, North America, the United States of America is famous for this. This is what it has done from the very beginning. Now, Europeans are assimilationists. They will take foreign elements into their populations and absorb them. But the problem was these people fleeing from the Mediterranean and the Roman world ended up going into Europe, and they brought with them a series of beliefs that they basically had to create a whole new faith, and in so doing, they had to demonize the faiths of the local Europeans in order to execute their plans. Their plan was to demonize paganry, the pagan beliefs, the heathen beliefs, the Forster traditions. They had to basically demonize the belief systems of European people and to Christianize those people. The Christianization of the European population was by Jewish design. They needed this to happen in order to promote their Judaic faith. Their Judaic faith gave them rights, privileges, and immunities above other people. They used Christianity to promulgate this, and it worked over and over and over and over. Christian populations regarded the Jews as the children of God. The Jews were the chosen ones. The New Testament reads, the Jew first, then the Gentile. All of this was by design.
We're going to pause for a minute just in case the actual man is here right now. I don't know if it's a troll or if it's actually him because they're not showing their face. But just in case it's him and he wants to come on here and have a conversation, somebody in the chat is either him or pretending to be him. Let me switch over the audio setting, and if it is a troll, we'll continue. You know what? I do got to say that I like this video more than other ones that I've seen of his because he's actually getting in here and at least putting out information, whether he thinks it's true or that he thinks it's real. So many of his videos, he's just like beginning, just like bullshitting and talking. I'm just like, man, get to the point. Like, wasting my time.
There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos, but videos like these are just data dumps.
Well, I prefer when people just get out and start like actually saying something. So this video is better than a lot of the other ones I've seen in terms of how he's communicating his ideas and thoughts without like bullshitting and driving around and talking nonsense for a while. I can't stand when people do that. All right, let me see if this is him.
It's a troll.
Is it a troll?
Yeah, it's saying it. And Jason doesn't talk like that. Yeah, it's a troll.
The person that I just let in the room is a troll. Okay. This isn't the real one. You don't think they're not saying anything right now?
He's saying in the chat and on StreamYard, I'm trolling. Don't put me on. I can sound just like.
Oh, he said it. I wasn't even looking in the private chat.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here, let me go back and switch the audio, and we'll get on the. Man, trolls. Find something better to do. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Fine. So when they had begun appearing in European communities, they were welcomed because the Europeans were believing they were taking in a people who were victims, and they were giving them sanctuary, and they were doing the Christian thing to do, not knowing that they were letting in a culture that was going to siphon away their life, siphon away their life essence, their finances, and then turn their own communities over to enemy invading forces who would then advance the traitors to positions of mayors and tax assessors and governors, and give the Christian citizens, European citizens, wives and daughters over to their new Jewish masters. This was the role that was played out through the Muslim invasions, the Saracens and the Moor invasions of Europe. This is how it was done. It was done by Jewish intrigues. It was long-term planning. It was executed to perfection. Now, that's all in the past. We are now starting this presentation off, episode 1 of Hats Off. That's what this is, and it's going to be many, many episodes. Episode 1 of Hats Off starts with the year 12 1290. It is a pivotal year in both European and Jewish history. So, by 1290 AD, the English people were so fed up, they were so enraged that King Edward was backed into a corner. His people were about to riot. They were about to rebel. Can you guys imagine what would cause a peace-loving people to rise up in arms and threaten their own monarchy? What would cause that? It's a very rare occurrence. Most of the time, the population, the collective, goes with the status quo. What could have been going on? Well, I'm going to tell you what was going on. The English people were absolutely fed up with the Jewish population that was inside of England and all the financial usury, all the financial intrigues, everything that had been going on. Guys, this isn't something that happened in 1290. This is something that had been building for a long period of time. People don't rise up in anger until they are done. They are fed up. This series is about the people of the Exodus. Remember, guys, the Exodus was about a people who were victims, and they fled the country that was oppressing them. Guys, this goes deep. You have no idea how much manipulation has gone on into the Old Testament and New Testament record. But even more so, even the Jewish scribes are subject to the laws of the simulacrum. They have written for themselves a script that they have absolutely also fallen prey to. And they have repeatedly become the victims over and over and over and over of populations that have become fed up with the practices they employ inside those populations. One of them is not assimilating with the cultures that host them and take them in and give them sanctuary and protection. Guys, this series is going to run deep and it's going to offend a lot of people, but that's because it's on Archaics TV. I'm telling you now, the people rose up in rebellion. And I'm gonna tell you who. I believe it was it's Plantin. I can't pronounce this. Was it Plantagenet, whatever? It's like the French. It's the French influence English dynasty. But that's who King Edward was. He was of the Plantagenet dynasty of England. But the people were fed up because Jewish landowners, Jewish moneylenders, and Jewish bankers had literally bankrupted England. Yeah, guys, this isn't me making this up. This is in the historical record. And it goes and it goes deep.
Okay. All right. I am going to switch and get back on here.
Okay.
I'm not saying that what he's saying right now isn't true. There's a reason that Martin Luther led the Protestant Reformation against Catholicism and Judaism. But what I would ask all Christian people to think about is this ongoing feud between religion, and how is it that Jews outsmarted Christians and took over them and dominated them and caused this hatred and animosity and this ongoing feud that carries on to this day? I'd say to take a look at your own religion. Does your own religion not teach you to be inept in terms of a human being and not use your God-given faculties so that in turn you can become a slave to other people? Because that's absolutely what Christianity did to humanity. It made you weak, and it made you turn the other cheek to things you shouldn't turn the other cheek to. It made you turn it too many times. And Christianity even speaks to being a good slave and giving Caesar what's his. So when you sit around and you blame Jews, yeah, there are bad people in all religions. And there are Jews that think they're superior to everybody else. And they look at everyone else as goyim. Here, I'll remind you of one of my favorite rituals that Jesuit-run Google did. And remember, there is an alliance between the Jews and the Catholics, and that's what the Jesuits are, but it is a lot more Catholic. Juno Probe. This is one of my favorite rituals of all time. Oh, yeah, Google. You did a good one right here on the 4th of July. Welcome to Jupiter with the Juno probe. And remember, Jupiter is venerated by the Catholic Church. So, yes, there is a historical tie-in with the Catholics and the Jews. And there is fault in all religions. But to sit on here and harp about the year 1290, hey, let's talk about what's going on in 2024.
Well, the series runs up, right? It runs up in that particular series, and it runs up to present day.
I know, but he is way back in the past, and I hardly ever hear him talking about the present. The moment we are in is run by the Catholic Church, point blank, period. And all of the evidence points to that, including the latest sacrifice of a Rothschild, which some people can't get that name out of their mouth, like the Rothschilds run anything. They're another one of these puppet families up on the world stage that have been used. Just like Elon Musk is one of these puppets up on the world stage. But yes, there is a Jewish element, and I've never denied that either. It's just Christians should take a look in the mirror and recognize that it is your own religion that allowed these things to happen to you, because you're sitting there turning the other cheek, and you're turning the other cheek, and you're being a good slave, and you're doing what your little religion that's glued onto the back of the Old Testament told you to do. Do you not think it's possible that these same people that you're so mad at, had something to do with that book that made you so easily conquered and ruled? Again, I mean, there is more to this story, but I just get sick of just people blaming Jews all the time when they're just a part of the story. And yeah, I'll call them out too. That picture, well, it's hidden right now, but when I was blowing up the March for Our Lives rally out here in Washington State, every agent provocateur they had out there that was trying to cause problems, they were of the small cap faith, if you will. And you look at the ones who go on TV and try to undermine the Second Amendment. It is a Jesuit thing, but a lot of the ones that are doing it are in the small caps. So again, I want people to understand. I will call out that piece, but I get so tired of everyone acting like it's the Jewish thing. No, they're a part of it. It's like if this is a pie chart here, like if it's a full pie, maybe it's, I don't even think it's a quarter of the pie. It might be a sixth of the pie. But again, there's so many people that act like the whole pie is this Jewish conspiracy. They're a part.
I'm in full agreement with you. I'm in full agreement with you. But I get what you're saying, because if you only watch a couple of videos and you only hear here and there, it's going to look like that. But there's definitely more element than just one race screwing us all over. So I can see that clear as day.
Yeah, and I've never heard him blame anything besides Jews. That's all I've ever heard him blame. And to me, that's not, like, he can't be serious. So
fair enough. Well, I appreciate you having me on and playing that. Like I said, I'm a big fan of your work. I've been following it, reading the book. I'm probably like 200 pages in right now, and Gematria is undeniable. It's and the fact that you can do it every single day with news articles about, doesn't matter if it's sports, Hollywood, or hurricanes. Like, what else can you say? Like, it's right there in your face. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, the past is important. You have to understand the past to understand the present, but Archaics is constantly living in the past and cherry picking the past and saying, here's a story about Jews. How about go to Martin Luther's work then and see what he spent more time on? He did blame Jews in Catholicism. He said you cannot have a civil society with either of these religions in existence. And I mean, you could look at the president and say, well, maybe he was right on, because aren't like the Jews running the porn industry and putting all this filthy propaganda and creating gangster rap music and marketing to black people so they can put them in cages and on and on and on. Yeah, there's arguments there, but again, it's just like, you can't just have tunnel vision and blame one group of people. And I see so many people like Archaics doing that. So maybe I'm not being totally fair about his work, and maybe I haven't listened to enough, because admittedly I probably only tuned into like 10 videos. But
well, if you ever have time, like whenever, like he does have playlists, and there's a playlist called Isometric Predictions, and there's probably a bunch of shorter videos. Like you can get a gist of how he uses his chronology and his history to predict multiple events, and some have come true, some haven't.
I get that, and there is always more to learn, and maybe that could help me out with my work. But at the same time, I'm saying I know my work's pretty damn good for its predictive power, and I'm not sure that if
you're off the cuff.
Help me out with mine.
You're off the cuff with it. It's crazy. Like you just know when things happen. Like, oh, this many days in the year, and like that was that anniversary. Like that's crazy, and that's commendable. So.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for supporting the work and coming on and speaking your mind, and I appreciate it.
All right, peace.
All right, take care. All right, we got a guy on here called the Counter Argument. I have a feeling it's the same guy who just came on here and used the name Jason Bashir, but maybe not. The Counter Argument. Close us out.
What's going on, Zach? How are you, man?
Yeah, what's up?
Not too much. I can just do a really good Jason impression, and it's my buddies laugh their ass off because if you're in the truth sort of arena, everyone's heard of Archaics.
And isn't it weird? Isn't that weird though? Because he hasn't been around very long.
Well, it is very weird because here's the thing. If you just pull up the calculator right now, I mean, we can start to the counter argument because there's many points to this counter argument. There was actually one of his friends that I've actually suspected of being someone working for intelligence or something like that. He hanged around, or he would hang around a YouTube channel, my friend's YouTube channel, and he stood up for Archaics, so my buddy started to go in on Archaics, and I pretty much, if there was a beach towel with Archaics on it, I flossed my ass with that beach towel for 3 fucking hours, debunking this guy. And first and foremost, his backstory. The Hiram Abiff backstory. Do you know that he was basically this wandering orphan? It is literally like Hiram Abiff.
Okay.
And we have a man. Yeah, and you pull up the calculator and you type in Archaics and then you type in Israel. And I believe there's 2 overlaps and 2 different ciphers. So we could start there. We could start the Hiram Abiff. We can start where he claims, now this is accurate. There was one group of people before the cataclysms on this planet, before any sort of flood. There's one group of people that has been documented by chronologists and historians known as the Amaru. The Amaru were pretty advanced. The problem is he won't interview the man who corresponds with the descendants of the Amaru. There's a guy who I think I've talked to you about before, Aboriginal Global Media, the Aboriginals who were the original natives. They were here long before any natives came through the Bering Strait natives. They were the ones who built Chichen Itza, and their offspring and or descendants built the pyramids in Egypt. And these were all in line with Orion, the celestial equator. So he won't interview Dr. Ali Muhammad, who refers to himself as Chief Ali because he runs the Aboriginal Republic of North America. Then he talks about Gematria, but he won't interview you. It's such a fucking joke, man. I'm sorry, bro, but like he won't. Anyone who takes him serious, because he said, I watched several of his streams. He said before 4029, there was no moon in the sky. There was no documented moon in the sky. That's when it was first seen. There is DNA evidence that the modern anatomical human being is 338,000 years old. And that DNA was sourced from South Carolina, where these Aboriginals were. These Amaru were. And they're the oldest people, according to Jason. So if you're not going to interview anybody who really has the credibility, anybody who's really doing something with the science, you're a fucking fraud. That's all you are. You're never going to do anything hardcore. He talks about this Phoenix event. He talks about how there is this vapor cannon, or a vapor cannon or vapor, I call it a crayon. I make fun of him. But like, it just, a lot of the chronology that he is reporting on is backdated history. And who went in and backdated that history? Joseph Scaliger, a Jesuit, and a bunch of Jesuit priests. And I hate to say it, Zach, but a lot of the things that you are showing the Gematria through, it's only possible because they went in and backdated it. We're talking
I don't
about.
disagree. That's what I was saying. It almost seems like they just contrived history.
We're talking about two fat fucking frauds here. The biggest frauds in human history. The best Jewish historian, what was it? Flavius Josephus and Apostle Paul had so much impact. What if I were to tell you that these were pseudographical characters and they were written by the same group of people? They didn't exist. Why? Because if you go through all of Apostle Paul's works and then you go through all of Flavius Josephus' works, they have 33 identically named works. They supposedly had 33 friends in 33 different cities, and they were similar friends. So that would be like if you and I supposedly didn't know each other, but we visited 33 different cities, and we had the same friends in those 33 different cities, but we never crossed paths and we never knew about each other. Did that person even exist? I think not. Backdated history. That's all it is. And the man who wrote, I need to get you this book, but my buddy gave it to me for free. I need to actually like pay for it and send it to you. I don't want to pirate his works because I've gotten too many of them for free. Dr. Ali Muhammad, the white men who wrote the Bible. Okay. It's the end of it. It's the fucking end of the road for the, let's just put it like this. Why is the Alaska Mosque so important? Why do they want to build the third temple there? Why is that a huge target? Because the actual Muhammad, he was a real man. It was a title. They didn't just call him Muhammad. His real name was Abdal Malik. He was one of the founders of the original Islam, and all the original Islam was, it wasn't a religion. It was to protect Kemet from the invaders, the Greco-Romans, the Zoroastrians, the supposed Jews, the Christians, were all trying to come in, and Arabs, they were all trying to come in and subvert Egypt's history. They were trying to change things, these invaders. So Islam was created to protect the social, political, scientific structure and order. There was nothing religious about it. The original Mecca was Mount Sinai. And Abdal Malik carved his name inside Alaska Mosque. Then an imposter, I think from the Abbasids, they were a group of Christians who converted to Islam, to subvert Islam. A man named Khalif al-Mahmoud goes in and crosses out Abdal Malik's name, who the people decided was Muhammad, the title of Muhammad. And then I hate to break it to those who don't think there was a quote unquote Christ, but there was a man that was referred to as Christos. It was a title that they would put on people. There was multiple Muhammads and probably multiple Christoses and whatever you want to consider it. But this is well before the Christianity doctrine, the Jesuit doctrine, and all of the Catholic, bullshit. So the white man who wrote the Bible was a real eye-opener. And then the Lost Pages of Islam, Volume 2, really go into it. And here's the thing. Guess where Gematria really comes from? The Moors. I hate to say it, but everything has pretty much been stolen from Blackie. Whitey has stolen essentially most of his history from Blackie because he didn't have any history. Unfortunately, that's the case. And we can speak through biology. When I say biology, I'm talking about the Denisovan and the Neanderthal. They were dying off and they were saved. Who were they saved by? Most likely the Amaru, who were here during that time. We have to ask ourselves, why do white people have excessive hair on their bodies compared to black people? Is that just normal? Or were we dying off and then we were bred with certain groups of people? So this is all a big takeover, and Whitey versus Blackie started in Egypt, where that first takeover of Kemet was. So it's not that I have this fixation on going against white people, but I see that the Jesuit takeover is literally all about subverting these Aboriginals, because when the Aboriginals were fighting, they weren't enslaved in this country. It was genocide. Certain groups, Armenians were genocided, Greeks were genocided. Certain groups have genocide in their DNA and they'll fight back. So these Aboriginals fought back. And the most important part is that the Jesuits even infiltrated the red man. The Indians who came from the Bering Strait, who were real Indians who lived in teepees. The Aboriginals didn't live in teepees, mind you, but the actual Indians did live in teepees. The Jesuits infiltrated the Indians and started the Order of the Red Man. You couldn't make this shit up, to battle the Aboriginals in the 16, 17, 1800s. And the founding fathers actually got the clothes and the idea from the Aboriginals. Chief Powhatan, the Delaware tribe. See, people don't understand why Delaware is so special. And these Aboriginals claim that they don't want reparations. They want restitution of the state of Delaware. They want it back. And there's a lot of history behind this and a lot of contracts that no one really knows about. And the way they fuck us in this system through the taxation, on the stream with High Impact Flicks, where the guy was talking about the lost wages through, I think, the child support. It's through this whole Delaware contract-based system where it's our own personal and individual, how can I say it? It's our willing participation of the taxes. It's the willing participation of the family divorce, extortion, whatever you want to consider it. Once you start to participate, you're fucked. Like, there's ways, I guess, to get out of it, but like the Social Security number, like all of these things have been set up in a very sinister and maniacal way. And this is the hands of the Jesuits. And it's not the hands of the Jews. Because when we talk about the power structure, the real power structure of this planet, the 1200s, the Crusades, the world's first bankers, fleeing to Switzerland, Switzerland never being in a world war, World Economic Forum out of Switzerland. And then we have 1300s to the 1500s, the world's first capitalists, the Hanseatic League, the German Jewish families, cutthroat capitalism, no room for social structure for the family order and anything along those lines. And then we have the creation of the Jesuits. And then what? The Rothschild banking dynasty is 150, 200, however many years after the fact. And we're supposed to believe that a group that got kicked out of 109 countries is now running the world. No, I think that's the perfect front boss. I think it's the perfect scapegoat. I think the Jews are just a perfect front to say they're running the world. Meanwhile, these capitalist merchant families, these Hanseatic families, and the original bankers, they just lurk in the darkness. Just like in the 80s, the FBI. Who were they after? The front boss of the mob, and then the real boss always lurked in the background. There's no difference here. But I'm going to digress. I've said a lot of different points. I'm sure a lot of people have some contestants to my points, but I hate to say it, but 99% on YouTube, bought and paid for, all part of the network. And Archaics is just one more of them, because it's the growth is what you said, Zach, is the most important thing to always identify. How are they growing? Is this organic growth? Or is the algorithm artificially boosting them and making them the new hit superstar?
And that's why it's good that I'm here, because if you have a brain, you should see how it works. How does yours truly keep doing the best work and get like no recognition? Why does this network all shout out each other and help each other out, but then like I don't even exist? If you can't figure that out, I'm sorry, it's because you got low intellect. But anyway, I do appreciate you coming on and sharing that information. And a lot of people in the chat, like always, very disagreeable, but some people do agree. Again, guys, look in more. If you disagree with what he's saying, look more into it. There's always, Research. Don't take anyone's opinion just at face value. Do more research. That thing though about the red man and the natives, it made me think about the Washington Redskins and the DC Jesuit city. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. So I'll do some more follow-up on that, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I identify 3 points here? What was the first order that we heard about? The Jesuit order. Then there was the Order of the Illuminati. Then there was the Order of the Red Man. And then there was HW, September 11th, 1991, talking about a new world order is coming into view. That's the order here. And there was one. It wasn't a Jewish Jesuit order. You know what I'm saying? They didn't put Jewish in front of Jesuit order. It was the Jesuit order. So I just had to throw that out there. They've used this ordering system and how they renamed the Order of the Illuminati right after it started. I mean, come on now. This is just blatantly in your face. And if you can't see it blatantly in your face and you're subjectively buying into something else, you need to get the shit goggles off. You need to stop eating the shit sandwiches like you always talk about, the diet. So that's another thing I want to shout out, man. When you talk about the diet, I think that is probably the biggest factor that if people changed, they would start to see more objectively and start to understand reality and not, some fucking fantasy realm. But I think, thanks for your time again, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Peace out.
Yeah. And again, you look into who the real 13 families are, all Italian names. And at the top of that food chain is the Orsini family, who've put more popes on the throne than anybody. And I'm sure a lot of people in this community know who the Orsinis are, but most of the world doesn't have a clue who the Orsini family is. So people always say the name Rothschild. Yeah, look into the Orsinis. They've been around a lot longer. Craig, I got to hop off, but Craig, I'm going to drop the link for you to come on because you were the biggest naysayer in the chat of what he was saying. So what were you so taken aback by what he said? You don't think there's been a whitewashing of history? I mean, are they not showing you that all the time? Look at the ritual at Tupac, dead on, at least so we're told, dead on Caesar Borgia's birthday, and then Tupac on the cross like Jesus. Why is there only one little blurb in the Bible of Jesus' physical description? And it leads you to think that, okay, there's a description of hair like wool, darker skin. Tupac, sound more like a description of an old Tupac. But again, Tupac's killed on Caesar Borgia's birthday, where white Jesus comes from, the son of a pope. That's just, I feel like that's a really good current events example to kind of see the mockery and the whitewashing, and then just looking what's actually in the Bible in Revelation 1:14 and the verses after. Well, why are they always putting 42 on Black history when the New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus? Think that's just a coincidence? Craig, come on. I dropped the link for Craig. You don't have to put your face on the screen. He didn't either. You can just no camera and just come on here and explain why you're so offended. CD Lamb seemed like a lock for that 39 touchdown. SNF 39. Here's Learn Your Gematria. Same numbers week after week. Yeah, Craig had no static. Yeah, the last caller did have static on his call. I do need to get off here. I didn't intend to be on this long. What I was hoping was going to happen was that Brian would actually bring me on and we'd have a conversation, but instead he had to do his same old bullshit. You see, the reason you can see Brian is a fraud of a human being is because for years he said he would not have me on because I attacked him with ad hominems, which anyone who heard our phone call, it wasn't like that. I was trying to get him off the topic of, okay, I don't even care if you're here to sell t-shirts. Why don't you engage past the same 5 to 10 talking points you use in every video? But see, the thing is, he says he will not debate me because I did an ad hominem attack on him. And then did anyone see how he marketed his debate with Owen Benjamin? Owen Benjamin went on this tirade and called him 5,000 different ad hominems. And then he was laughing about it and using it to market the debate. So it's So for some reason, he'll debate that guy who does ad hominems. And again, Owen Benjamin's another guy who came out of nowhere and instantly had a massive following and got super rich on YouTube. And the thing is, if you guys know what Owen Benjamin recently did, he made over $1 million. Over $1 million by telling people to send him $400 and they could hang out with him for 2 weeks. And then he just took all the money and said "F you" to everybody and didn't offer any hangouts. Man collected over $1 million, and in a way, I don't even feel bad. I like anyone who was following that guy, you deserve to get $400 took out of your pocket. Literally, a racist clown is what Owen Benjamin is. Gets online, plays his keyboard, and calls people the N-word over and over. I mean, that's what I can boil Owen Benjamin down to. When he first started on YouTube, that's why it was crazy. I'm like getting deleted left and right. I'm like, this guy can come on here and just call people the N-word over and over. And he did eventually get censored. What's funny is his channel got taken out the same day that my books got banned online. I still remember it was the Ides of March 2019. I had all of my financial cut off that day. Everything I had got deleted, censored. It was a bad day for me. But it was also the day he got deleted too, on the Ides of March. And yeah, but like, why doesn't he have channels dedicated to attacking him every day? I mean, he literally just scammed. He just literally did $1 million scam and got away with it. But again, I mean, just dummies following that guy. Dummies. Craig, where are you? Owen Benjamin also does come from, has some Hollywood connection. Been in some films with some small roles. I would have never known that had somebody not told me that he was in. But this is another guy that Brian will collaborate with. You know, we're not measured by the same metric. Anomaly, who hangs out with stars, did the same thing to him, marketed the same way. Ad hominems, but he'll have a debate with them. Owen Benjamin. Don't give this guy any weed. He can't handle his weed, this poor guy. The House Bunny, Jack and Jill, Gaytown. Yeah, okay. It's making more sense by the minute. Is Craig a no-show? It doesn't look like Craig's coming. All right. Thank you, Run Your Pockets. Appreciate the tip. Thank you, Charme Lily. I hope I said that right. Thank you very much. Hope I didn't mutilate the name. Charme Lily. Or is it Carme? Could be Carme Lily. Thank you. Dante Reed. Appreciate that again. Chosen 93. Thank you. Coney from Canada. Appreciate it. Run Your Pockets times 2. Congrats on the big win. And Nathan says best callers ever tonight. Were you talking about the ones on Brian's stream? I don't. If you're having problems with people in the chat, you can block them. You don't need to argue with them. Here, I'll give him some free advertising. You guys want to check out Paul Unslaved? He has a weird group of people that hang around him. He makes them call him daddy. Another guy that Brian collaborates with. Brian will collaborate with Paul Unslaved. And now I have noticed something about Paul Unslaved. Seemingly his handlers are part of that small cap crew, and Paul might be one too. I have noticed that. And they seem to want to, you know what Paul Unslaved reminds me of? He reminds me of like hip hop music being marketed to get people to do dumb things so they end up in cages, which helps out the lawyer industry, which, yes, there are a lot of small caps in that one too. But yeah, I mean, no, he's a waste of a human being, Paul. No. So, and all you guys who run around calling him your daddy, I mean, that's weird. Grown men who call another guy their daddy, pretty weird. Is that right? Is that right? Yeah, and again, when him and Owen Benjamin started their debate, they were making fun of gematria and specifically the number 144. And isn't Owen Benjamin's birthday also the 144th day of the year? Look at that. He's even got just a Google answer like that. Boom. His birthday is the 144th day of the year. Yeah, he was telling this they're making fun of gematria through the number 144. It is weird because, yeah, I am aware that Brian Young does equal 144. I want to assume that's a coincidence. I'm sure there's people in the world whose names are 144. His name is interesting, though, isn't it? Some interesting numbers there. Yeah, you guys can see their debate, how they got on and made fun of gematria and 144 specifically. It's like, what are the odds? The guy whose name equals 144 and the guy born on the 144th day of the year. Weird. Yeah, I hear it, John Mendoza. I hear it. All right. All right. No, Hugh, you notice what your friend Paul does? He goes on other people's channels where he can bully them, but you notice he doesn't come on my channel and try to do that. Why do you think he doesn't come on here and try to bully me? He knows he's going to get smoked. And again, I mean, that guy, see, it's like some people don't realize how like shameful their character is. He has a video that he uploaded that apparently he's proud of where he's hiding behind a woman. He's putting the woman out in front of him to defend himself to the cops. I mean, that to me, that's the definition of a loser and a coward. So, anyway, I got to wrap this thing up rather than talk about losers and lowlifes. And again, you guys, you do need to wake up to the shill network because, like the last caller said, it's not an exaggeration. Like 99.9% of people in the truth community are shills. Sadly, you might be looking at the only one who's not. And shout out to everybody else in this community, but most people have a lot smaller channels and don't even have any recognition. But there's almost no authentic people on YouTube, and that's why, again, you just look at how all these channels circle jerk each other and act like we don't exist. So, all right, we'll leave it there for now, and until next time, Truth Seeker.